This is Adelaide's FIVEaa.
Partly cloudy today and a top of 21 with the 6 o'clock news. I'm Mel Usher.
The X in Physio Extra stands for extra time, extra care, extra convenience. With 6 locations. Visit physioextra.com.
A coalition of South Australian medical experts are warning our mental health system is at crisis point. They're backing a 10-point reform plan by an SA Health whistleblower. It calls for specialist beds, additional staff and social housing. Elizabeth DeBars from the Nursing Federation says action is needed.
We really are now pressing very hard on the Marshall government and the Minister for Health to say, look, you need to stop taking your hands off the wheel, and it's time to step up, time to lead in this area, and most importantly, it's time to take action.
Health officials are investigating the death of a woman in New South Wales less than a week after she received the AstraZeneca COVID vaccine. The 48-year-old, who had an underlying health issue, died in a Newcastle hospital. The Therapeutic Goods Administration says no link has been found between the vaccine and the death at this stage. Prime Minister Scott Morrison is warning against rushing to conclusions.
To allow those medical experts to make their inquiries and to be able to inform government in an appropriate way, and so for us not to move to any conclusions at this point.
The head of FIVEaa says people will likely need a booster dose of its COVID jab within 12 months of being fully vaccinated, and there may be a possibility we'll need to get an annual dose of the coronavirus vaccine. More details have been released about Prince Philip's funeral this weekend. Nine's Carrie-Anne Greenbank says the guest list is capped at 30.
Buckingham Palace has released more details of the Duke of Edinburgh's funeral, and it's been revealed that Prince Harry and William won't be walking shoulder to shoulder behind their grandfather's coffin. Instead, they'll be separated by their cousin Peter Phillips. A Buckingham Palace spokesperson wouldn't say why the royal brothers were being kept apart, but royal commentators say it's indicative of the strain on their relationship. The day of the funeral will likely be the first time they've seen each other in more than a year, and comes after the controversial Oprah interview, which aired while Prince Philip was still in hospital.
South Australian drug trafficker Cassie Sainsbury is planning a trip home. She spent 3 years in a Colombian jail after being busted trying to smuggle cocaine out of the country in 2017. But her early release required an additional stay in the country. Cassie has now told her followers on social media she'll be back in Adelaide really soon. The US Secretary of State has delivered a message of reassurance to the Afghan president following Joe Biden's announcement to withdraw troops. Australia's 80 remaining troops will also be withdrawn after 2 decades of conflict. Speaking from the presidential palace in Kabul, Anthony Blinken insists Washington is not abandoning the Afghan people.
The United States will remain Afghanistan's steadfast partner. We want the Afghan people, countries in the region, and the international community to know that fact. It's also a very important message for the Taliban to hear.
The Powerball didn't go off last night, so it's jackpotted. Next Thursday's draw will be worth a whopping $80 million. Now to FIVEaa Sport.
Save up to $300 on selected Asco dishwashers at Adelaide Appliance Gallery, home of Mr Dishwasher.
And it's good morning to Tom Wren.
Oh, don't tell me that, Mel. I hadn't checked my tickets yet. Oh, well.
Maybe next week.
Maybe next week.
Even more money.
80 million would be nice.
Yes.
Richmond has dominated St Kilda, kicking off round 5 with an 86-point win at Marvel Stadium last night. Jack Riewoldt booted 5 goals, moving up to second on the Coleman medal tally. Dustin Martin had 34 touches, playing predominantly in the midfield. Tigers coach Damien Hardwick says it's the best his side has played this season.
We know when we play our best, our pressure is high, our system is good. It looked that way evident early. I thought we gave away a couple of goals in that first quarter we probably shouldn't have. A couple of contested situations behind the ball weren't ideally great, but the guys got better as the game went on. So, some real positives for us tonight.
Round 5 continues tonight with West Coast hosting Collingwood in Perth. Meantime, Port Adelaide will hold its captain's run later this morning at Alberton before flying to Melbourne ahead of tomorrow night's match against Carlton at the MCG. Let's go to cricket. Travis Head has taken out this year's Neil Dancy medal as South Australia's best player for the season. Bridget Patterson walked away with her first Macaulay medal. Meantime, Queensland has taken command of the Shield final after day 1, ripping through New South Wales for only 143. In reply, the Bulls reached 1 for 58 at stumps. And there's about 15 minutes to play in Europa League action this morning, with Manchester United leading Granada 1-0, while Arsenal is 3-0 up against Slavia Prague. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Make sure you and your car stay cool with aircon and cooling services. Call 1300 Automasters.
Partly cloudy for your Friday, 21. The same tomorrow, also 21. And much the same again on Sunday. Right now it's 10 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
At Bob Jane T-Marts, there's deals for safer holiday driving. Visit bobjane.com.au. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
6 after 6, good morning to you. Welcome to a Friday on 5AA Breakfast. Coming up on the program this morning, the Greens are solving unemployment permanently in South Australia. So they say they're going to have a plan. Adam Bant will join us before 7 o'clock this morning. We'll also speak with Liz DeBars on the program after 7 o'clock to take you inside the coronial inquest into the death of nurse Gail Woodford, who... There's a 12-point plan has been released, and as the detail makes for particularly interesting reading. We'll get into that after 7 o'clock this morning. Phil Curry will be on the show. Hamish Hartlett will join us after their all-conquering victory over Richmond last week. Port looking to, well, replenish the side, given the couple of significant injuries that came out of the game ahead of the clash with Carlton this weekend. We'll talk to him about that. And speaking of football, the AFLW Grand Final is on tomorrow, and Ange Foley, who is the acting captain under circumstances I imagine she would have never liked to be acting captain under. She'll join us after 8:30 today. David Penberthy, good morning to you.
Good morning, Will. Good morning, listeners. It is, of course, Meat Tray Friday as well. Bit of a sign of the times story in the Tizer today that the Dimmicks bookstore in the Rundle Mall is closing its doors. A lot of people might go, geez, I'm surprised that it held on for that long, given the rise of Booktopia and Amazon and all of these other online services that have eaten into traditional bricks and mortar bookstores. It's not to say that there aren't bookstores that are working extremely well, and the ones that are seem to be ones like Matilda Books up in Stirling that are, you know, sort of part of the community. They're regarded as a place that you go to on a Saturday, you know, after you've had a coffee in the high street or what have you. But not
a permanent disappearance. The owners say they would like it to return to a Rundle Mall location when they find a suitable site. They're just being replaced by a Rebel Sport megastore. Big Rebel Sport. It's 27. It's a 2,700 square metre footprint there. If you've been into the Dimmicks and Rundle Mall, you know it's a giant location. So it'll be a the other place. It's basically a change of tenancy. Foot Locker and Australia the Gift stores will also exit the building. And Rebel, by the looks of this, and the advertiser this morning, will be taking over the entire footprint.
It's a huge space.
Yeah, it'll be the Rebel to end all Rebel stores.
There are other Dimmicks that have popped up, actually. There's a newish one. When I say newish, it's probably been there for 3 years on King William Road. That's a good little bookstore, and that always seems to have people in it. But you know, the way our cities look in terms of retail, it's within 30 years, what's it going to look like?
Well, it's a good question. And look, you look back 30 years and it looks particularly different from the way it did then. And that has inspired the Meat Tray Friday question this morning. Thanks to Dennis and the team at Broadway Meats. You can pop in and see them, 41A, the Broadway, Glenelg South. They're going nowhere. We're asking you if you could bring back one shop, one business. What would it be? What's not there anymore that you'd like to have come back? 822 300 is the number. Might be the Dimmicks and Rundle Mall. You can text us on the Telstra Storm Mount Barker text line as well, 0448 08 1395.
I've got to say, one of mine, if it were to return right now, it would take me 2 minutes to walk from here to it, Will. And when Friday night shopping started as a thing in the early 1970s, Mum and Dad used to bring me and my sister into town and we'd go out for an Italian meal, normally at Da Clemente or... when it started a bit later, Rigoni's. That was for special occasions. But restaurants like Campari and Rundle Street. But right in the corner of Hindmarsh Square, where later the Academy Cinema Centre, the big movie complex was put there. There used to be this sort of 3-story terrace house tucked away in the north eastern corner. And it was called Liberty Bookshop. And it was a beautiful bookshop. And there was like a special kids area. And it was like our weekly treat that Beck and I were each allowed to buy a book. And I've got all these old Spike Milligan books of his poems about animals and all of those things, and all of those books, even like Peanuts cartoon books, all of those books came from Liberty Books. It was such a great bookstore.
There'll be just one bookstore in Rundle Mall as a result of this, for now anyway, until Dimmicks finds a new home. Reedy Book. Reed Book? How do you pronounce it? I've not been in the shop. I'm not familiar with it. R-E-A-D-E Book. The only bookstore left at the moment. Independent one too.
Isn't that one of those ones that sells all the sort of discounted books? Like big gardening books for like $20, and they like the ones you see in, what are they called? Those DFO stores.
Yeah, right. Well, someone will be able to let us know. 8223 You can text us on the Telstra Storm Out Barker text line. Maureen at Point Pass. What's the shop you'd like to see come back?
Hello, friends. I used to lurk around Rundle Mall, which was Rundle Street then, on a Saturday, and we used to have a milkshake in Sir Gaelis's milk bar. And we used to shop in John Martin's.
Oh, yes. Hey, can I ask about that milk bar, Maureen? Was that in Hindley Street?
No, Rundle Mall.
It was in the one. It was called Sir Gaelis.
No, all we used to do down Hindley Street is go to the, what was it, that Blake Cowboy sort of place, a nightclub.
Oh, not Jules.
I think it was before Jules. And I know that there was an all-in wrestler for a bouncer. A Greek chap who used to be on TV. I forget his name.
Yeah, that's right.
Good on you, Maureen.
Thank you, Maureen.
8223 You can win yourself a meat tray this morning. Tessa on the Facebook live stream says, bring back Harris Scarf in the city. Harris Scarf only a suburban phenomenon now. Or are there no Harris Scarves now?
No, there's still Harris Scarves. There's still Harris Scarves for sure. Mark from Glenside says, bring back Big Star Records. My brother-in-law used to work there. It's a fantastic place. Did you ever go in there, Will, in Rundle Street?
No.
Big Star, down in the Austral.
No. None of my... Because you're an Adelaide University guy. I didn't spend any of my time in the city really growing up.
Because you're at McGill, weren't you?
No, I was at Flinders.
Flinders, that's right.
Yeah, so
that's right.
No, Touchstones have never been in the city for doing all that kind of shopping and things.
So you were like, heading to the Tonsley for beers after the few lectures you attended.
Yeah.
The bloke who started Big Star Records, Vic, he's now Mr. V Music at Semaphore, so he's still
in business. That's good to hear.
Selling LPs.
Unlike Holden, that Josh says should be brought back.
Holden, that was quite a big operator, wasn't it?
Yeah, they heard it did quite well for a while there. Mark in Largs Bay, good morning.
Yeah, g'day, boys. I've actually got shares at Mr. V Records. I was in there yesterday, spending some money.
How good is it?
Yeah, it's great, mate. So, there should be more stores like that around. Will, you might not be old enough for all this sort of stuff, mate, but we used to drive down all the way down Anzac Highway, and when Glenelg Beach was Glenelg Beach, and we actually had a hot dog at a place called Huggy Bears.
Huggy Bears, that's right.
Bears.
It was a great little institution, mate.
I'd forgotten about Huggy Bears. That had cult status, that place.
What made the Huggy Bear hot dog, Mark?
Yeah, we always, as teenagers, that was the place to grow up.
So was it the social setting or was it the quality of the food?
It was a bit. I reckon it was a bit. Everybody went down there and, it was not out of control or anything. At night, everyone brought their cars down there, the old station wagons with the back of the station wagon lit up, and, just hang out.
Hang out by the car or did you hang out in the joint?
Oh, hang out in the car and around the place, It was a good social gathering spot.
Absolutely. Good on you, Mark. Thank you. 8223 or text us on the Telstra Storm Out Barker text line. You can win yourself a meat tray thanks to Dennis and the team at Broadway Meats, 41A, the Broadway, Glenelg South.
When you think surgery, you think hospital, right? Well, Dr. Greg Keane wants you to think SportsMed.
SportsMed is the only purpose-built orthopaedic hospital in the country, with world-class nursing and theatre staff, a first-class catering team, and the latest innovations in patient treatment and care.
And your surgeons?
We're experts in all procedures for hips, knees, feet, ankles, shoulders, elbows, wrists and hands.
All your treatments, all your care. One place. SportsMed.
Start living life again after your successful surgery.
Sportsmed.com.au.
If you want to build a new home, something that reflects you and your lifestyle, speak with Beechwood Homes. And just so you know, they won't try and sell you a house plan. In fact, there's no house plans until you tell them what you want. So go for it. Start thinking of all the possibilities or get in touch with Beechwood Homes for a few thought starters. Life's good. It's even better in a Beechwood home. For inspiration, visit the stunning Beechwood Homes display home in Blackwood Park.
7:30 Monday, MasterChef serving up Adelaide's best cooks ever.
We're seeing dishes that I would be proud to have on my menu.
MasterChef starts 7:30 Monday on 10 and 10 Play on demand.
If you're looking for a used vehicle, you've got to get to North Point Toyota. Their used vehicle stock is constantly changing at Hillcrest, Prospect and Port Augusta. You'll get benefits like North Point Toyota's certified pre-owned program, offering a range of benefits that no private seller could, like 12 months roadside assist on Toyota certified used vehicles, plus 7-day exchange if you're not totally satisfied. North Point Toyota's used stock is constantly changing. It's the North Point way. Hillcrest, Prospect, Port Augusta or northpointtoyota.com.
At Spotlight, get winter ready with a massive 50% off the entire range of ready-to-hang blockout curtains. During this winter, keep the warmth in and the cold out with our huge range of blockout curtains. So you can hang it, close it and keep it warm for less. Sale starts tomorrow. Exclusions apply. At Spotlight, it's what you make it.
Harvey Norman, your premium Optus dealer. Buy one Samsung Galaxy S21 Plus 128 gig and get a second S21 Plus 128 gig when you connect both phones to new Optus $65 per month SIM-only plans for 24 months. Offer ends April 19th. Minimum cost $4,669. Not available with other offers. In-store only. Visit hn.com.au/Optus-BYO for terms and conditions.
9 News, weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. The switch is on to the news that's live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide.
At Bob Jane T-Marts, there's deals for safer holiday driving. Visit bobjane.com.au. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
7 minutes after 6, here are your news headlines on this Friday morning. The CEO of FIVEaa says people will likely need a third booster dose of COVID-19 vaccine within 12 months of getting fully vaccinated. Well, I guess you're not fully vaccinated then, are you? Albert Bourla said in an interview that a likely scenario is that there will be likely need for a third dose somewhere between 6 and 12 months, and from there, there'll be an annual revaccination. The variants will play a key role.
Has he got a vested commercial interest in making sure people take the vaccination as often as they can?
It's their business model, isn't it?
Yeah.
So now not only will you get vaccinated, you can sign up for a vaccine subscription service.
Yeah.
It might auto-renew.
Yeah. You just get direct debited.
Yeah. And
then direct jabbed as well.
Yeah, why not? Health officials are investigating after a woman died after being given the AstraZeneca COVID vaccine. The 48-year-old who had an underlying health issue, hear that everyone, had an underlying health issue, died in a Newcastle hospital. The Therapeutic Goods Administration says no link has been found between the vaccine and the death at this stage, but an investigation is underway. Are we just in the business now of reporting anyone who dies at any point in their life for any reason after getting the vaccine?
Well, look, sadly, I think we are. I actually think that the way this is being covered is a huge part of the problem. It's making everybody skittish. We got a really good text about it from Kev in Manham. Kev says, feeling a little nervous about my COVID-19 vaccine tomorrow, 9:30am at Murray Bridge Surgery, after seeing the death of a young lady on the news. But as I've mentioned before, I have a 1-year-old baby in Cambodia, and I'm desperate to get back there after being there for the birth, which was a happy time for our family. And at the end of the day, the benefits will always be better than the risks. Life is always inherently risky. Kev speaks many truths there.
It's inherently... I was driving into work this morning through over King William Street with Victoria Square there up Franklin Street. And I was stopped at a green light, started crawling through the lights, and I looked to my left, King William Street North, and I thought, geez, that car's going to have to pull up fast to stop at the red light. Didn't pull up at all. And the guy in a fairly nice car must have been going well in excess of 60 k's an hour and went screwing straight through the light in front of me. And I broke. The guy next to me was a bit behind me, broke. Everyone laid on the horn.
Even though you were on a green light, you could have gone.
Well, no, I was already halfway through the intersection. It was like a near miss.
So you were on green?
Yeah, I was on green. I was rolling through, and the guy just fired, maybe just a matter of feet in front of me. And I thought, well, that's desperately unlucky. But I tell you what, it's far more likely then. That moment ending in me getting killed is far more likely than anything's going to happen with AstraZeneca or a COVID vaccine.
Bloody hell, mate. I'm surprised you're even sitting here. You're like Jules in Pulp Fiction. That was a miracle, man.
It was a miracle. It was honestly.
You can't say the entire
No, you
script
can't.
as
No,
in
you
the
can't.
movie Pulp Fiction.
I may
'cause-
have said some words that weren't broadcastable in the immediate aftermath.
Well,
But it's that those kind of incidents happen on a road all the time to everyone, and unfortunately, some of them turn out to be fatal. And we take the risk every single time and don't think twice of it. Yet, because this is new and it involves needles and medicine, and it's astronomically less likely. It doesn't matter. We freak out about it, and I think you don't have to feel bad about that fact, but just know that it's on a basis of probabilities. You're going to die. You're probably more likely to die on the way to getting the vaccine.
Yeah, completely.
Plans to establish COVID vaccine hubs in the northern and southern suburbs in the coming months have been unveiled. The Playford Civic Centre at Elizabeth and the Old Masters site in Noarlunga will be active by early June. Both sites are expected to be dedicated Pfizer facilities, dependent on supply. Here's the Premier speaking yesterday.
I really want to thank the people who have become due for that vaccination for showing up, making sure that they can protect themselves, protect their workplace, their community, and of course ultimately remain safe here in South Australia.
The Duke of Edinburgh's 4 children will walk alongside his coffin at his funeral on Saturday. Prince Charles, Andrew, Edward and Princess Anne, as well as grandsons Princes William and Harry, will follow a Land Rover hearse in a procession to St George's Chapel at Windsor. The guest list for the service includes 30 people with 3 German relatives. Those attending will wear morning coats with medals or day dress, but not military uniform. And that's interesting because there's a couple of storylines that feed into that. One of them is, well, Prince Harry's been stripped of all his titles, and they don't want to create the awkwardness of him standing there looking significantly less dressed than the rest of the family. And the other,
can't he wear military gear anymore?
Well, I think you can't wear that dress in that context. And the other being, the Navy aren't exactly impressed with Prince Andrew knocking around in the Admiral's kit.
Yeah, well, fair enough.
So, just to avoid all the embarrassment and awkwardness, they've decided to park the military dress.
William and Harry aren't going to be sitting next to each other either.
Yeah, walking next to each other. They're going to have one of their cousins in between them.
That's pretty sad, isn't it?
Yeah, because you know these things will have been designed within an inch of its life. No decision is an accident.
I tell you what, imagine being a fly on the wall though. Like, imagine what Harry must feel like now. I think he'd feel really torn. You know, he'd be back there with the people he grew up with who are closest to him, and he'd be thinking, have I done the right thing?
Well, you'd like to think so.
Yeah.
The US Secretary of State has delivered a message of reassurance to the Afghan president following Joe Biden's announcement to withdraw troops. The Taliban is declaring victory in the war in Afghanistan after Western nations announced plans to pull soldiers out of the country. That means Australia's 80 remaining troops will also be withdrawn after 2 decades of conflict. Prime Minister Scott Morrison fought back tears yesterday as he paid tribute to Australian soldiers who died in the war.
The loss is great. The sacrifice, immense. The bravery and courage, things we can speak of but not know of personally. These brave Australians are amongst our greatest ever.
Time to check the weather on this Friday morning. 21 the expected top today. Get used to hearing that max temperature. 21 again tomorrow. Sunday, guess what? It's 21. Then for something different, we go to 22 on Monday, but it remains consistent. 22 again on Tuesday when, if there is going to be significant rain action, it'll come early next week, Tuesday, with up to 6 mils of rain.
How boring for Amelia in Chelsea. Like, imagine if you're the weather person and you go, well, nothing really happened in the next 4 days. I might just not come in.
They sprinkled in a dust storm, though.
Well,
Last time it looked pretty boring.
Well, that's it. They were like, all hands to the tiller the other day. Mother Nature was doing absolutely everything.
24 minutes after 6.
With half-off flights, it's time for a full-on snorkel, full-on rainforest, or a full-on bite to eat. Plan your full-on holiday at australia.com. Book with your airline or travel agent of choice before tickets sell out. Terms and conditions apply.
Get the garden you want at Garden Grove. Autumn's here, so it's important to think about getting your garden and lawns ready for a long winter with fertilising to keep them strong and healthy. Garden Grove have the best brands, backed by the very best advice. Get the garden you want. Garden Grove, Golden Grove Road, Golden Grove.
Garden Grove, that's the garden. Garden Grove, that's the garden. Garden Grove, the garden that I want.
Phone 8251 1111 for delivery to your area.
Sold by McGain again.
And as you know, houses are selling really quickly, so our advice is get along to these open inspections.
Tomorrow from 10:30 to 11, Mike Dobbin and Zoe Ball are opening Unit 4, 19 Hillier Road, Morphett Vale. This beautifully presented home unit features 2 bedrooms, open-plan lounge and dining room, plus an updated kitchen with gas cooking, a private courtyard with pergola and undercover parking, $219 to $239K.
Also tomorrow from 11 to 11:30, Sam Raven will be opening 14 Spencer Drive, Morphett Vale. This 3-bedroom home features a formal lounge with raked ceilings, heating and cooling, second living area, neat kitchen, pergola, double carport. Currently rented until September, so it's a great opportunity for investors. $299 to $328K.
For all the info, take a look at these properties and all of them again listings at realestate.com.au.
The pieces just came together, from the enlistment form to the discharge papers signed after Gallipoli. He was my great Uncle Jack the Anzac, and now his story is part of mine.
There could be more to your story too. Piece it together with ancestry.com.au.
At Spotlight, get winter ready with a massive 50% off the entire range of ready-to-hang blockout curtains. During this winter, keep the warmth in and the cold out with our huge range of blockout curtains. So you can hang it, close it and keep it warm for less. Sale starts tomorrow. Exclusions apply. At Spotlight, it's what you make it.
These days, it's important to stay connected with trusted news from real journalists in real time. Subscribe for full digital access to The Advertiser for just $1 a week for the first 12 weeks. Min costs $4. Conditions apply. Search The Advertiser offer now.
Hi, I'm Joey from Verve Electrical. We've just taken delivery of our Renault Traffic. There's heaps of room in the cab, it's easy to drive and versatile. I love the van so much, we're getting another one.
From just $37,490 drive away. Renault Traffic.
It's my business, it's my van.
Lawless, the termite people.
Yes, Lawless are still the termite people, celebrating over 78 years in pest control. For termite or other pest problems, call Lawless on 8443 9636 or online at lawlerpestcontrol.com.au for really good information on all pests. Call Lawless, the people you can trust, on 8443 9636 for a free survey and quote. That's 8443 9636.
Lawless, the termite people.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. At Bob Jane T-Marts, there's deals for safer holiday driving. Visit bobjane.com.au. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
28 minutes after 6. Tran Tew wants the ice cream van that drives around the suburbs brought back. That's a business that could come back.
Yeah,
that's the meat tray question. Dennis and the team at Broadway Meats, don't mind that one. Scott said he spent every last cent in the fantastic record shop Seeing Ears. Great name for a record shop.
Seeing Ears, absolutely fantastic record store. It moves. It used to be down Gawler Place, I think. Then it ended up in the mall.
Tom Wren in the 5AA Breakfast studio with us, thanks to Asco Dishwashers. You can get them at Adelaide Appliance Gallery, home of Mr. Dishwasher, and save it to $300. Morning to you, Rennie.
Morning, David. Morning, Will. Gee, that game last night, I don't know how much of it you saw, but it just felt like a muscle flex. Just Richmond
I didn't see any of it. I didn't even know who won.
They absolutely destroyed them. You didn't miss much. It was an annihilation. It was a side saying, yeah, we lost a couple in a row. We'll just do what we need to, and we'll show everyone that we're still the team.
134 to 48.
And
my God.
Could have been more. Probably should have been more. Anyway, boys, I've got something worked out with our two producers as well, Andy and Lucy. Now, Lucy's not here, so Sam's filling in for her today. So I've got Sam to put in a tip on behalf of Lucy. Every week for the rest of the year, and this might not last long because we're not the best tipsters, but I want you...
Speak for yourself.
It's called a gauntlet.
David will win this.
Yeah, nothing surer. You have to give me one selection that will definitely win for the round. The only caveat to that is it's called like a gauntlet. People have heard of this before, last man standing. If you say, for example, this week pick the Crows, you cannot pick the Crows again this season.
Right.
So at one stage, you are probably going to have to pick North Melbourne.
So you're going to have to pick every team at some point.
At some point, if you're still going at round 22 when the season is completed, or round 23. I think this will take us to round 22. So, that said, round 5, you need one selection. And if you're out, whoever's left standing gets lunch paid for them by all of the losers. Whoever comes last and goes out first has to pay for everything. So drinks everything.
Good.
So it's not good.
How many people are in this? Just out of interest?
5.
Oh, well, that's
so it's
right.
the three of us.
Not all the staff.
Not all the No. Well, just go on public. So no, just the three of us, and then Andy and Lucy. Okay.
Let's do it.
All right, let's go. So, David, who is your sure thing? Who is definitely going to win this week? You've got open slab.
I'll go an easy and obvious one. The Bulldogs will easily beat Gold Coast in Melbourne at Marvel Stadium. So I'm on the doggies, the Footscrays.
Tomorrow at 4:05. Okay, go the Suns. Will, who are you going for?
Go Stewie Jew.
I'll go with Geelong against North Melbourne. North are obviously the worst team in the competition, and I think Geelong are a little shaky.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going to be able to pick them every week. So I'm taking Geelong over North.
Feels like an easy kill for me. I'm spot on with you, so we're going down in flames together, Will. That's
we'll
good.
split lunch.
Go Dutch.
Exactly. So Will and I have gone the Cats. Now, Andy has gone with the Crows.
Oh boy, Andy.
Has he put the kiss of death on
Andy.
them? And Sam, I don't know. I like this. I like his bravery. They've been amazing. They've been the team to watch this season. He's gone with Sydney over GWS.
Do or die for GWS, isn't it?
It's a huge game. That's a risky first-up play, but I like it.
Sydney have been good.
Should win.
They should win, but I'm not sure if they're a sure thing. I love it. He's going to
good
come out
stuff.
laughing. All right, anyway, there are our tips. We're in.
Hey, are the women going to win on Saturday?
Yes, they will. It's a 50-50 contest because Chelsea Randall is out. Angela Foley, I cannot wait for this chat that you've got with her.
It's going to be good.
This is a huge game. I'll be there calling for AA tomorrow.
Oh, that's excellent, mate.
So cannot wait.
What's your crowd tip?
I think they'll get about 35.
Yeah, right.
I still think we're a little bit gun-shy with COVID, but that I was lucky enough to be there, David, a couple of years ago for the Carlton game. That was the most unbelievable atmosphere.
Wasn't that one of the best things ever in sport?
Incredible.
Well, it was actually moving.
We thought there'd be maybe 15,000 there on the day. There was
But what
50.
about when they just kept, and then when they opened up the southern stand? I was just like, my God, look at all these people.
It was phenomenal. And look, Chelsea Randall, she's shown great leadership all week. So good luck to the women. I hope they get their third premiership in 5 years.
Sold 10,000 tickets in the first 15 minutes for the grand final.
Pretty
amazing. Yeah.
Wow.
That's Tom Wren. So up to 15% on selected Asco cooking appliances. Adelaide Appliance Gallery, the home of Mr. Dishwasher.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Partly cloudy today and a top of 21 with the 6:30 news. I'm Mel Usher.
The X in Physio Extra stands for extra time, extra care, extra convenience. With 6 locations. Visit physioextra.com.
The Prime Minister has warned opening international borders too soon could lead to a major spike in COVID cases in Australia. Nine's Jonathan Kersley reports from Canberra.
International travel has long been the final piece in the COVID jigsaw, but the Prime Minister has suggested it could be further away than initially thought. Scott Morrison has warned cases could spike dramatically if travel is allowed too soon, and he says he's looking to health authorities on whether Australians who want to go overseas for business or to attend funerals could travel and quarantine at home rather than in hotels, but any plan would require the states and territories to be on board.
The Therapeutic Goods Administration is investigating the death of a woman in New South Wales days after she received a COVID vaccine. The 48-year-old had underlying health conditions and was put in intensive care. New South Wales Health says it does not comment on individual cases, but is offering its condolences to her family. A coalition of health professionals are calling on the government to fix the state's mental health system. They've outlined a list of reforms, including more specialist beds, social housing and additional staff. Elizabeth DeBars from the Nursing Federation says the government must take responsibility.
We are very concerned about the demands being placed on our system. The issues facing mental health, quite frankly, is one of the most visible issues, but there are simply a multitude of problems with health, and this government's inability and apparent reluctance to deal with those systemic issues facing healthcare is just appalling.
Get ready to pay more for meat as farmers battle to restock after the drought and demand goes through the roof. An index used to measure the cost of cattle across the eastern states has hit its highest ever level. The Australian Meat Industry Council says the inflated prices could continue for at least a year. Preparations are continuing ahead of Prince Philip's funeral this weekend. COVID restrictions will limit this weekend's congregation to 30 people. The guest list includes all 8 of the Queen and Duke of Edinburgh's grandchildren, but no great-grandchildren. The Queen will sit alone and wear a face mask. Majesty magazine editor Ingrid Seward says the Duke's coffin will be transported to the chapel on a custom-built Land Rover hearse that he helped to design.
Behind the Land Rover will be the princes, if you like, William and Harry and the Earl of Sussex, the Duke of York, all the family will be there. And then behind them, the Queen in a state Bentley.
In the US, the former police officer accused of killing George Floyd has decided not to testify in his own defence. Derek Chauvin is accused of killing Mr Floyd by kneeling on his neck. The judge, Peter Cale, asked him to confirm his decision was freely made.
Is this your decision not to testify?
It is, Your Honour.
All right. Do you have any questions about your right to remain silent or to testify on your own behalf?
Not at this time, I don't.
All right. Does anyone promise anything or threaten you in any way to keep you from testifying?
No promises or threats, Your Honour.
Universal Studios in Hollywood will reopen today. It's been closed for a year due to coronavirus, but not all the rides will be operating and crowd numbers are capped in line with local COVID laws. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Save up to 15% on selected Asco cooking appliances at Adelaide Appliance Gallery, home of Mr Dishwasher.
It's over to Tom Wren.
Thank you, Mel. Adelaide captain Rory Sloane says he's feeling better as he recovers from an eye injury. Sloane has been forced to recover at home after delicate surgery, but he's told Rowie he'll be back at the club soon.
Back in the footy club Saturday and next week, and then start some training. So, yeah, it'll be a good month. Of footy missed, I reckon, in the end.
Port Adelaide's players will train today before announcing their team tonight ahead of tomorrow night's clash against Carlton at the MCG. The Power will be forced to make at least 2 changes, with Xavier Dersma and Zach Butters both injured. Meantime, St Kilda coach Brett Ratton insists he won't drop Brad Hill after another quiet performance last night. Ratton says he'll stand by Hill, who had only 10 touches as the Saints lost to the Tigers by 86 points.
Hill had some okay performance. The GWS game, he didn't get a heap of the ball, but what he did with the ball was brilliant in really wet conditions. And then, last week he played pretty well. So I think everybody's just putting the spotlight on him, but there's a few others as well.
To golf, and Aussie Cameron Smith has made a brilliant start at the RBC Heritage Tournament in South Carolina. Currently 8 under in windy conditions with only 1 hole to play in his opening round. That puts him in a share of the lead. And it's full-time in Europa League action and a great morning for the English clubs with Arsenal 3-0 winners against Slavia Prague, while Manchester United beat Granada 2-0. Both sides now through to the final 4. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Make sure you and your car stay cool with aircon and cooling services. Call 1300 Automasters.
21 today and partly cloudy, the same tomorrow. Right now it's 10 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
There she was, just walking down the street singing.
At Bob Jane T-Marts, there's deals for safer holiday driving. Visit bobjane.com.au. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
She looked fine. She looked good. She looked fine. And I nearly lost my mind.
22 minutes to 7. It is Friday. It's Meat Tray Friday, and we're giving away a meat tray thanks to the wonderful team at Broadway Meats, 41A, the Broadway, Glenelg South. Great shop, and we're talking shops this morning for the meat tray. Which shop would you bring back? Dimmicks in the city is moving out temporarily. Might be coming back. They're replacing it with a Rebel Sport. Whilst it's away, it's just one bookstore in the heart of the city, which is hard to fathom. Maria in Seaton, what's the shop you'd bring back?
Good morning. My shop that I would bring back is the very first place I got my very first job, and that was the one and only John Martin's.
Wasn't Johnny's fantastic, Maria?
Oh, look, it was the best family-orientated store, but then again, the whole of Rundle Street with all the shops, Harris Scarf, Cox Foy's, Coles across the road from Johnny's, in Gawler, I think that was Gawler Place.
Yep.
Or James Place, anyway, across the road from Johnny's. All of them, Myers, they were actually the best experience if you wanted to go shopping with a family. I find that the shops these days are just too intimidating. I mean, they're very cold. There isn't that sort of connection you had with the customers there. Well,
they're not staffed the way they were.
They were always right. It was brilliant. It was really brilliant.
You can stand in most department stores these days and feel like you're the only person there. Back when people like you were working at Johnny's, Maria, it was always about customer service.
It was always customer service, and we always now I find that when you go to the shops and you get change back, the people at the register, they look at what they have to give you back and they give you that back. But we were taught back then that you count back from what the amount is. You know what I mean? And that sort of got your mind going and stimulated and everything. But it was a really good experience way back then. But the whole strip of Rundle Street, I would like to bring back.
Yeah, it was good on you, Maria. Thank you. You observe this odd phenomenon. It's not a criticism of anyone. It's just a sign of the times these days, whereby change is handed out largely by people who at no point in their lives will have ever used change to buy anything.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Nick in Loberthal, good morning.
Good morning, guys. Now I'm going to give you a challenge. Across the road from a certain fast food store on Pulteney Street was another store. It's not there anymore. Can you guess what it is?
A certain fast food store on Pulteney Street.
Yeah, right near Rundle Street. There's that fast food store on the corner.
Hungry Jack's.
Car park above it. Across the road, I didn't want to say the word. Across the road there was a store. Can you remember what it was?
You're going to have to tell us, Nick.
Army Disposal Store.
That's right, the Army Disposal Store. That's where the Foodland is now.
Yeah, it's the one place you could go and get dressed up in clothes like Rambo and get away with it, you know?
It was good
It's
for
a great
camping
place
gear.
to go and visit. I mean, it's the place where all the stuff that the military didn't want used to end up.
Yeah,
But
that's
not
right.
how it is anymore. It's how it used to be at the old Army Disposal Store. It's like the rejects, and
Yeah.
you get the wannabes going.
What would you dress up in, Nick?
Well, unfortunately, I'm ex-military myself, so I didn't want any of that stuff. I got the real stuff.
Yeah, okay. Well, you still wouldn't have the same thrill then, would it, when you've actually done it properly? Good on you, Nick. Tina in Mitchell Park, good morning.
Good morning. Okay, so I've got two really. One was CC Records, but that was, we used to hang out there a lot as teenagers.
Did you go to the one in Marion, Tina?
No, I'm a 10-pound pom. Grew up in Elizabeth, so Elizabeth City Centre.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. But the one I was phoning for is my first employer, actually, as a kid, Venture Stores, offshoot of John Martin's.
Venture?
Oh, what did you do there?
Do you not remember that one at all?
Was Venture sort of like a big W Kmart style?
Yeah,
It was, that's
it
right.
was-
That's right.
It was owned by John Martin, so it was like, so in Elizabeth you had Johnny's, big old Johnny's there, and next door to it, which is, I couldn't even tell you what it is now, that shopping centre's changed so much, but it was a Venture store. It was like a mini Johnny's, really.
Venture. I'd totally forgotten
Look
about
it up.
Yeah, I can
I
remember it
know.
though, Tina.
So you're on the checkout,
think-
Tina, or on the floor?
No, I was in charge of the electrical department, thank you very much.
Oh, wow.
What was the biggest seller?
Well, the opening day was toasters. They had toasters for like $5 or something.
Oh, gee.
We sold pallets of them.
Oh, yeah. You
Excellent.
can't go wrong with a toaster. And I think that of all the things that have changed over the last few decades, I'm not sure that there's been great revisions in the technology of the toaster.
I'd argue there's been too many. There's some now that have got like LED displays and things like that.
Yeah,
It's like,
but
listen, I'm just trying to toast some bread here.
fundamentally, it's the same thing, isn't it?
I like the cancel button. That didn't exist in the 70s.
Cancel button's good.
You know, just turn it off. And there's also defrost as well, the defrost
Yeah, I've
function.
never used the defrost function on a toaster.
The dial's good, though. There was no dial in the 70s for how dark you wanted your toast. Because most toasters now have got the old 1 to 10 scale.
Yeah, but do you use it? I leave it
Yeah, I
on
do.
1 and I just put it down again.
No, I set mine to 7.
Do you? I just leave it on whatever it's on, and then you...
Yeah, but then don't you get bread that's sometimes sort of soft and still white?
Yeah, you put it back in again.
You got to turn it up to 7, mate.
Nah, madness.
Have a go. It's good.
Nah, I'm not into the automation.
Embrace the toaster
A
dial.
real craftsman likes to just hover over the toaster.
Speaking of shops, there's one shop that is still here in Adelaide. It is, of course, Peter Shearer Menswear. They have Will rocking up dressed like the cock of the walk every Thursday. I just want to note, though, that I'm the best-dressed member of the team today.
Oh, without a doubt.
I'm wearing a collared sportscraft shirt. Will, on the other hand, has just dragged himself in wearing some T-shirt that he found on the ground. So check it out.
Yeah. Do you reckon you could undo any more buttons, by the way? I mean, seriously. This is going to have
I've got a bit DK Lily.
This is going to have to carry some sort of adult warning.
Steaming in from the cathedral end
The
off the long run.
The 5AA Breakfast Facebook and YouTube live feed. Rated M. May contain nudity.
Nudity? What are you talking about? I just got a couple of buttons undone.
You peeled that thing back and I saw more of you than I wanted to at this time of the morning. 16 minutes to 7.
No manscaping here.
8223000. Text us on the Telstra Stormount Barker text line, and if you're brave, jump on the live stream. Crikey. All right, let's check traffic thanks to Dave Potter Honda, Australia's #1 Honda dealer, second year running, davepotterhonda.com.au.
Slightly slowing around South Road at Henley Beach Road. At Mount Osborne, the freeway uptrack left-hand lane closed. Speed restrictions both ways for the works they're doing in the Adelaide Hills. Cameras today, Main North Road, Jeps Cross, Lowport Rush Road, Martin, and Tapley's Hill Road, England North. Specsavers is giving everyone with health cover $50 off lens options like smudge-resistant, polarisation and more. Offer ends April 28. Conditions apply. That's Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
How do you know you're in South Australia? Well, we make a great coffee with Festival Mad.
And we have Leader Computers. Yep, world-class Leader Computers are made and serviced right here in Adelaide. It means everything you need for your business or home computing is local, not overseas, not interstate. So if something does go wrong, there's no runaround. Live life local. Live life Leader. Leader Computers. To find your local dealer, visit leadersystems.com.au.
7:30 Monday, MasterChef serving up Adelaide's best cooks ever.
We're seeing dishes that I would be proud to have on my menu.
MasterChef starts 7:30 Monday on 10 and 10 Play on demand.
Decided you need to get behind the wheel of a new Mazda? You don't have to wait for end of financial year sales. Mawson Lakes Mazda has amazing deals across the entire range of new Mazdas right now. With up to 300 cars on site, you're sure to find the model and colours you're dreaming of. Or drive away in a low-kilometre demo before the crush of end of financial year sales. Don't wait months. Get into Mawson Lakes Mazda now. Just a short drive from the city.
At Spotlight, get winter ready with a massive 50% off the entire range of ready-to-hang blockout curtains. During this winter, keep the warmth in and the cold out with our huge range of blockout curtains. So you can hang it, close it and keep it warm for less. Sale starts tomorrow. Exclusions apply. At Spotlight, it's what you make it.
It's out now. 24 pages of it. Cheap as chips. Huge 24-page home life catalogue. Page after page of ooh, wow. Ooh, that's nice. From the bedroom to the kitchen, there's something for every room in your home. Look for the Cheap as Chips huge 24-page home life catalogue out now. And remember, you'll get a $10 voucher to spend on your next job when you spend $75 or more in store. Do home life cheaper at Cheap as Chips, in store and online.
How far would you go for your dream kitchen? And how far would you go to get free installation? How about 15 minutes up the freeway to Balhanna Kitchens by Design? 2. The largest showroom in the Adelaide Hills. Custom build your dream with our award-winning designers and get free installation on your cabinets with laminate benchtops. For a limited time, of course. Balhanna Kitchens by Design. It's not too far to go to make your dream a reality. balhannakitchens.com.au.
9 News, weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. The switch is on to the news that's live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide.
At Bob Jane T-Marts, there's deals for safer holiday driving. Visit bobjane.com.au. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
12 minutes to 7. Good morning to Senior Constable Kimberly Broad from SAPO. How are you, Kimberly?
Good morning, how are you?
Yeah, good. Now, 2 men have been arrested after breaking into a warehouse at Port Adelaide.
Yeah, it was just before 2:30 this morning. Police patrols responded to alarm activations at a vacant industrial warehouse. It's at the intersection of Francis Street and Perkins Drive at Port Adelaide. Now, patrols arrived and located a hole in a wire fence. They quickly cordoned off the area and called in a police dog Judge to assist in a search of the warehouse. Now, PD Judge quickly located 2 men hiding down the side of a building, and as soon as they spotted Judge, they got scared and jumped back over the fence. So they were quickly arrested by those waiting patrol officers. We had a 38-year-old man from Elizabeth Downs arrested and charged with being unlawfully on prems, and a 30-year-old man from Elizabeth Grove charged with being unlawfully on prems and going equipped to commit an offence after he also had some pliers and a torch in his possession. So they'll be appearing in court today.
Good stuff. Kimberly, also, what about this woman who was busted in a stolen car at Clovelly Park?
Yeah, this was just before 10 o'clock last night. Police patrols spotted a Toyota RAV4 on Sheriff's Road at Ranella. It had been reported stolen early in the night from a Tonsley address. Now, they followed the car as it turned onto the Southern Expressway and headed north, then onto Marion Road and Sturt Road, and also we had Polair come in to assist with monitoring the car from the air. But we successfully deployed some spikes on Morfett Road, and the RAV4's rear tyre had been spiked, but it continued to drive and went into Oaklands Road before heading into back streets of Clovelly Park. Now, that's where the driver abandoned the car on Norrie Avenue and ran off, but she was quickly arrested by police. She was searched and also found in possession of a knife and a pair of scissors. But a 26-year-old woman from Morfett Vale, she's been charged with driving dangerously to escape pursuit, illegal interference, theft and driving unlicensed. She's been refused bail and will appear in court today as well.
Good stuff. Thank you for that, Kimberly. Have a great weekend.
All right, let's head to the Bureau. Tom Bowick, senior forecaster on duty this morning. Tom, how does the weekend look?
Yeah, good day, Dave. Well, look, I guess it's a bit of a typical weekend for this time of year. And before that, for the remainder of today, another coolish day coming up today with a maximum of 21 degrees. There's a bit of patchy fog in the northern suburbs. We do have some showers showing up on the radar at the moment, sort of getting into the southern suburbs and possibly the hills there. So there's a slight chance of a shower during the morning and early afternoon for Adelaide, not too much in that. The weekend looks actually dry on Saturday, partly cloudy, 21 degrees coming up there, so not too bad a day. A little bit more moisture coming in for Sunday with a medium chance of showers and 21 degrees. Next week, firstly for Monday, just a chance of a shower there as well, 22. For Tuesday, there is a front coming up for later Tuesday and into Wednesday morning there, or should I say actually during the day on Tuesday. That's just correct that, and a medium chance of showers with that for Tuesday and 22 degrees, and some of those showers persisting for Wednesday, 23. Another front for Thursday, giving us a shower or two, and 19 degrees, so a cooler day coming up there, guys.
Good on you, Tom. Senior forecaster Tom Bowick at the Bureau. Lots of toaster talk on the Telstra Store Mount Barker text line. LC says, didn't the early toasters flip open on a hinge on each side?
Yeah, they did, actually.
That'd be convenient.
They did.
Now, we got also a message from Rob who says, another fun fact about the Humble toaster I learnt is that the numbers on the dial are how many minutes you cook the toast, not a Brown scale as such.
Well, it sort of has the same effect, though, doesn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, it's just
But it is minutes.
I think some people think it's the intensity of the heat.
Yeah, right.
I think the heat's constant.
How many decibels of heat you have?
Look,
how do you measure heat?
There's a lot of areas that have the march of science has sort of been irrepressible, but I think in the world of toasting, it's always been one way.
They should make a
no
toaster.
need to revise it.
They should make a toaster that goes up to 11. When you just need one more, when you just need that extra to push you over the edge.
You just want charcoal.
11, 11, 11, 11. Why not just make 10 hotter, Will? That's my question.
I'm Kathy Nagel, the Chief Executive of Western Hospital at Henley Beach. We are fast becoming a hospital dedicated to specialist orthopaedic surgery, with orthopaedic surgeons trained in modern robotic technology to assist in reducing your time spent in hospital. Plus, coupled with our zero out-of-pocket joint replacement options means there's no gap payments for the surgeon or the anaesthetist for eligible surgeries for eligible health fund members. Enquire by calling 8159 1200 or visiting westernhospital.com.au.
Go Vita Health Food Shops specialise in you, offering products and wellness advice personalised to you since 1987.
Hi, I'm Ali from Go Vita Marion and Colonnades, and this month you can find these awesome specials at your local Go Vita store. K-Fibre Natural Prebiotic Fibre 100 grams was $19.95, now $15.95, save 20%.
Get these specials and more at Go Vita Colonnades, Fairview Green, Marion, Mount Barker, Monopara, Semaphore and Tanunda. If you're looking for a new local, you know, the kind where you can get all your shopping done, where you don't have to spend all your time looking for a park. The kind where you can pick up presents, do the weekly shop and stock up on seafood and small goods. Look to Newton Central. With a newly renovated Drake's, Barossa Fine Foods, Seafood Works, Target and many more shops, Newton Central is set to become your new local. Newton Central, Gorge Road, Newton.
With great deals now on, it's time to go for a full-on snorkel. Visit a full-on rainforest and find a full-on bite to eat. Yep, it's time for a full-on holiday here. Plan your trip at australia.com. Terms and conditions apply.
Get a new Nissan Navara STX dual cab 4x4 manual from only $55,790 drive away for ABN buyers and get a genuine Nissan tow bar. Test drive the new Nissan Navara today. T's and C's apply.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. At Bob Jane T-Marts, there's deals for safer holiday driving. Visit bobjane.com.au. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
5 to 7, the leader of the Australian Greens is Adam Band. Adelaide's own Adam Band, as we just learnt in the ad break. He's been listening into Meat Tray Fridays, it turns out, as well. Adam, good morning to you.
Good morning.
You got a shop you'd like to bring back?
Oh, just talking about those old shops. I remember as a kid pestering my parents to go to Lacornu's because of the ball pit. I had no idea about the furniture or whether it was something that my parents met their taste, but had to go there because of the ball pit.
I love the ball pit. Yeah, I can share the sentiments on that one.
It was exciting.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was the only place to have one. There's one at IKEA now, I think, down near the airport.
Yeah, but it's a pale imitation, I think.
Certainly is.
So, we might be talking about bringing back shops because you're talking about bringing back jobs in a big way in town to spruik your... It was really a massive policy agenda, but it's headlined in South Australia by the creation of some 47,000 jobs and reduction of the unemployment rate to below 2%. What are the sort of jobs we're talking about here?
Well, we're talking about jobs that will deliver lasting benefits for South Australia, things like getting Torrens River swimmable again, but also solve a lot of the problems that we've got, like homelessness, for example. Like, why not create jobs by having the government getting in and building affordable homes that are going to create jobs, create apprenticeships, but also tackle some of the crisis that we've got. Unemployment in South Australia is at the highest in the country, and it remains the highest in the country. And the approaches that governments have taken so far of saying, well, look, we'll just give billions of dollars to big corporations and hope some of it trickles down in terms of jobs, just aren't working. So we're saying that we need to take some of the good lessons from history, get government to go back and start investing in some of these job-creating, planet-saving, nation-building projects themselves, and that'll create jobs that'll mean we can get back to true full employment.
So you reckon you could actually get the unemployment rate down to as low as 2%?
Well, that's where it was between World War II and the 1970s. So it was there for sort of 30-odd years, and we can do it again. But it involves a bit of a rethink about what's government for. I think government should be able to say to everyone who wants a job, we'll make sure you get one. And if the private sector, there's a lot of challenges with the private sector coming out of recession at the moment. If the private sector's not doing the job of creating jobs, then government's got to step in and help and offer jobs, decent jobs, to people who want them.
The unemployment rate of 2% goes beyond what the Reserve Bank would consider full employment, and they have a target like that for concerns over inflation. You don't share the concern that an unemployment rate of 2% would just send inflation spiralling out of control?
Well, if it meant wages go up, that's probably not a bad thing, because even the Reserve Bank has said we've got a problem with lifting wages.
Wages go up and the cost base goes up.
Well, the Reserve Bank itself has said, look, we've got to get a bit of wages going back up again because they're just stagnating, and they've been stagnating in Australia for a very long time, including in South Australia. So I think it's totally manageable. The question is, like, for all of these people, we've got about 58,000 people now in South Australia who are unemployed, plenty more who don't have enough hours of work, so the underemployment stat is really bad. What's better? Having those people live below the poverty line on low levels of income, or actually offering people a decent job that's going to deliver benefits for the community.
Would you recognise, Adam, though, that there is a problem with a certain cohort of people when you come to the question, what can the government do to create jobs? We've just had to go to the trouble of importing people from the Asia Pacific, from Polynesia, to come to Adelaide to pick fruit at a time when we've got really high and entrenched youth unemployment in some of the more put-upon parts of town. Does that suggest that we actually need to do something about the way the welfare system is being used, as well as try to get government to create jobs? Because there are some jobs there that people aren't interested in doing.
I think it means we need to make sure that every job in this country is paid at a decent wage with decent conditions. And again, it used to be that jobs like fruit picking were done by people who lived locally. Like, there's a long history of doing that, but so many of these jobs we hear big stories of exploitation and of underpayment and abuse of people who are stuck in hostels and held to ransom and not getting paid the right wages. So I think start making these jobs paid a decent wage with good conditions, and you start making them more attractive for everyone.
Well, Adam Bant, we did not know that you were a South Australian. Do you still regard yourself as one? You're in Melbourne now with all the hipsters.
Oh, look, the last camping trip we did before the lockdown was jumped everyone in a car, came back, spent a good week in the Flinders Ranges for my daughter's 4th birthday. I'd still love to come back every chance I get.
Good stuff. Well, good to have you in the studio.
Absolutely.
And we'll follow your plans with interest. Adam Bant, the leader of the Greens.
We'll let you know if you win the meat tray too, a little bit later this morning.
You're not a vegetarian, are you?
I'm not. I'll happily take that back to Victoria if they let me.
Non-vegan green.
The people at the Broadway meets will be delighted to hear that. The leader of the Australian Greens, Adam Bant, in the 5AA Breakfast Studio. Back with more in a moment.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio, and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Partly cloudy 21 today with the 7 o'clock news. I'm Mel Usher.
The X in Physio Extra stands for extra time, extra care, extra convenience, with 6 locations. Visit physioextra.com.
A woman's been arrested in a stolen car at Clovelly Park. The RAV4 was spotted at Ranella shortly before 10 last night. Senior Constable Kimberly Broad says it had been taken from an address at Tonsley.
They followed the car as it turned onto the Southern Expressway and headed north, then onto Marion Road and Sturt Road, and also we had Polair come in to assist with monitoring the car from the air.
Road spikes were successfully deployed. The driver did a runner but was detained nearby. Officers allegedly located a knife and a pair of scissors in her possession. The 26-year-old from Morphett Vale will front court today on a string of charges. And 2 men have been arrested at a vacant warehouse in Port Adelaide. An alarm was activated just before 2:30 this morning. A police dog helping to catch the 30 and 38-year-old. The Medicines Watchdog is investigating the death of a New South Wales woman just days after she received the AstraZeneca COVID vaccine. The Therapeutic Goods Administration says at this stage no link has been established, but further investigations are underway. The 48-year-old had an underlying health condition. New South Wales Premier Gladys Berejiklian has told Today it's too early to say what caused her death.
Unfortunately, I don't know any more than you do. We're waiting for the federal authorities to let us know whether there is a link, and until that time I think we should just wait for that advice.
A coalition of health experts is urging the government to fix the state's broken mental health system. They're calling for reform, including more specialist beds and additional staff. Elizabeth DeBars from the Nursing Federation says the system is in crisis.
We desperately need the Minister for Health and the Marshall government to listen to what we're saying and to actually work with us to make improvements. We have been making suggestions. They're either not listened to, ignored, or if they are adopted, they're half implemented.
Prince Philip's German relatives have made the guest list for his funeral, which has been capped at 30 people due to coronavirus restrictions. Nine's Carrie-Anne Greenbank reports from London.
Buckingham Palace has just released the 30-person guest list for Prince Philip's funeral, and most of the names are to be expected. The Queen, her children, grandchildren and their partners, and other members of the British royal family. But there are 3 names that stick out, and they're the German relatives of Prince Philip. While helping to plan his own funeral, the Duke was adamant his blood relatives must be invited after his German relatives were left off the guest list of his wedding in 1947, their Nazi connections deemed not suitable so soon after the war.
Australians are losing more money to scams. ACCC figures show scammers claim more than $60 million in the first 3 months of the year. That's up 73% on the same time last year. Cybersecurity expert Andrew Kovich says cyber criminals appear to be becoming more effective.
While the number of scams that we've seen hasn't increased significantly, the volume of money that's lost to these scams is increasing. These attackers are getting much smarter at getting money out of Australians.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Save up to $300 on selected Asco dishwashers at Adelaide Appliance Gallery, home of Mr Dishwasher.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Mel. Port Adelaide's players will train at Alberton today before heading to Melbourne ahead of tomorrow night's clash against Carlton at the MCG. There was one game to kick off the round last night, with Richmond making a statement, smashing St Kilda by 86 points. Let's go to golf, and Aussie Cameron Smith has just fired his lowest ever round on the PGA Tour in difficult conditions to take the outright lead after the opening round of the RBC Heritage in South Carolina. Smith with a 4-foot putt for birdie on the last to close it out.
Never a doubt. 9 under 62 to open up for Cam Smith. How about that round in the afternoon wind?
And how about that hair?
Yeah, he's got one hell of a mullet, that's for sure. That audio thanks to Fox. He's 1 shot clear of American Stuart Sink, while Cam Davis is the next best Aussie, 7 shots back. Ariana Titmus has claimed the women's 200 metres freestyle at the National Swimming Championships on the Gold Coast. Olympic 100 metre champion and South Aussie Kyle Chalmers took out his 3rd straight national 200 metre freestyle title in just his 2nd meet back since shoulder surgery. Let's go to soccer action in Europa League this morning. Manchester United has beaten Granada 2-0. Arsenal beat Slavia Prague 4-0, both clubs progressing to the semi-finals. In some tennis, world number 1 Novak Djokovic has been knocked out of the Monte Carlo Masters. That was in the round of 16 by Englishman Dan Evans. And when Kobe Bryant is posthumously inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame in May, the man presenting him will be none other than his hero, Michael Jordan. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Dave Potter, Australia's #1 Honda dealer, second year running. DavePotterHonda.com.au.
Started to pick up around South Road at Henley Beach Road and the freeway uptrack slowing with the left-hand lane closed through Mount Osmond for the works in the Adelaide Hills. Speed restrictions both ways though. Other works through Cadillac Gardens, Springbank Doors, Goodwood Road for the junction upgrade and a couple of cameras, Park Terrace Bowden and Robe Terrace North Adelaide. When you've got work to do, Totally Workwear has the uniforms you need. For City Collection, NNT, Chef Works and more, head to Totally Workwear, Australia's largest uniform supplier. That's Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Make sure you and your car stay cool with aircon and cooling services. Call 1300 Automasters.
Partly cloudy today, 21, the same tomorrow, 21. Right now it's 9 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
In the last hour on Adelaide's 5AA.
The Dimmicks bookstore in the Rundle Mall is closing its doors.
Inspired the Meat Tray Friday question this morning. Bring back one shop.
When Glenelg Beach was Glenelg Beach, and we actually had a hot dog at a place called Huggy Bears.
Huggy Bears, that's right.
Driving into work this morning over King William Street, and I was stopped at a green light, started crawling through the lights, and I looked to my left, King William Street North. I thought, geez, that car's going to have to pull up fast to stop at the red light. Didn't pull up at all.
Even though you're on a green light, you could have gone.
Well, no, I was already halfway through the intersection. Well, that's desperately unlucky. That moment, me getting killed, is far more likely than anything's going to happen with AstraZeneca or a COVID vaccine. The leader of the Australian Greens is Adam Bandt. Adelaide's owed Adam Bandt, as we just learned in the ad break.
Well, we're talking about jobs that will deliver lasting benefits for South Australia, things like getting Torrens River swimmable again, but also solve a lot of the problems that we've got, like homelessness, for example. Like, why not create jobs by having the government getting in and building affordable homes that are going to create jobs?
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
7 minutes after 7 for the Meat Tray. Naomi and Prospect on the Telstra Store Mount Barker text line to bring back Cunningham's Warehouse.
Oh, yes.
She worked there at 15. I missed the cheesy TV commercials. So Naomi enjoyed working there and watching about it on television, which is excellent.
We've had a lot for Granny May's bookstores from female listeners who, as girls, loved going there to get all the stationery. Tessa in Paraka, who's also a fan of Big Star Records. We've had quite a few people recalling Big Star when it was in Rundle Street. And Philby in Norwood, speaking of bookstores, says bring back the Third World Bookstore in Hindley Street.
A lot of love for bookstores. They inspired the Meat Tray this morning. Dimmicks moving out of its 2,700 square metre footprint in Rundle Mall to be replaced by a giant Rebel Sport megastore. I wonder what the Venn diagram is among our listeners of Rebel Sport frequenters and bookstore enthusiasts. I'm not sure that the boundaries meet on those two parties, but that's what's going to be there. The good news is Dimmicks might return in some form, in some place in the Rundle Mall. But this morning we're asking about shops that should return, 8223 0000.
We've spent a lot of time over the last few days, you could even say wasted a lot of time, with this social media-driven discussion started by the comedian Magda Zabansky about the gender implications of a couple of tweets the Prime Minister sent and the manner in which his wife, Jenny, was seen standing. I spent an incredibly draining 3 hours yesterday afternoon reading every single word of Coroner Anthony Chappelle's 103-page report into the death of Gail Woodford. And it just seems to me that at a time when we're talking about gendered violence and the way women are being treated, that the manner in which Gail Woodford lost her life doing nothing other than trying to help people in the APY lands in a town called Fragon, which sounds, and this is not even close to being an exaggeration, it sounds like it is genuinely hell on earth. The coroner said that he took evidence from some medical professionals who said this town was so dangerous, it was the most dangerous place they'd ever worked or seen. One medical expert said that in her opinion, the town was like a failed state that should just be shut down. No good was ever going to come out of it. It's about 13 hours drive from Adelaide, just southeast of Uluru, in the Western Desert. It has a floating population of between 200 and 300. And one of its former residents was a man known by the name of Dudley Davey. Now, he's serving a life imprisonment sentence for what he did to Gail, 32 years non-parole period. But when you actually look at, I'm just going to turn the page here because I wrote 1,000 odd words, 1,500 odd words about it in the Oz this morning. The list of things this guy did, starting from when he was a juvenile, all of them towards women, there are at least 13 sexual offences. This guy regarded women as nothing more than almost dehumanised objects to be grabbed, to be attacked, to be manhandled, to be exposed at while in a state of arousal, which was the first crime that he committed when he was 17. He randomly abducted women in Adelaide, in Darwin, in Coober Pedy. He did it 3 times in Fregon. Once he did it to a nurse. And this is what the coroner had to say then. The circumstances of this event are strikingly similar to what I have found happened to Mrs. Woodford at Davy's hands, except, of course, that the victim of this earlier offence at Fregon survived. So what does our justice system do to this bloke? When he was released on March the 23rd, 2016, he went back to Fregon, a town where he had no supervision, where there's no police station, and what a surprise, 6 months later, under the guise of needing medical attention, he manages to abduct, rape and murder a 56-year-old mother of 2. Gets her from the fortified home that she lives in with a poor husband, Keith, 6 months after he's let out of jail. What a spectacular failure of the justice system that this guy kept being given chance after chance after chance. And it makes me wonder too, like, I support things like the Uluru Statement and, you know, but we seem to be spending a lot of time talking about brand names for cheese. And where is the intellectual effort that's going into this? And also, when we have some Indigenous leaders saying we need to pull back on Indigenous incarceration, well, maybe, yes, we do for a lot of offences. But as for Dudley Davey, someone should have locked this bastard up many, many years ago and thrown away the key. And how is it that we have gender equity discussions? Like we had that great chat with Aman yesterday about telling ribald jokes about women and blokes not speaking up. Now, sure, all of that is important. But when you've got a guy who is a violent career misogynist who acts out that misogyny, surely that is the pointy end of the problem. So we dump him in the middle of a town where there's no cops and he rapes and murders someone who's just trying to help. It's a bloody disgrace.
Associate Professor Elizabeth DeBars from the Australian Nursing and Midwifery Federation joins us on 5AA Breakfast. Elizabeth, good morning to you. A nurse is safer now as a result of the recommendations?
Look, I do want to say at the outset that we owe an absolute huge debt to the advocacy and stoicism of the Woodford family. What they have suffered is just insufferable, and we thank them for managing to continue to advocate in a very challenging environment for them. Look, we are absolutely white hot with anger about how this has happened in the first place. And the lack of action we see across the board in both rural and remote communities, but also in our larger country and even metropolitan hospitals. I think in terms of your specific point about this coroner's inquiry and the recommendations from it, I think some of the things are very positive and useful and important. We're very, very pleased to see that the coroner's findings appear very much to not only support the law, the Gales law that was put in place, but also to support an expansion of it, so to ensure that nurses are accompanied in those areas at any time of day or night. But whilst we've been encouraged, and we think that's really positive, we do want to see two other things happen, both of which I'll say at the outset are not within the coroner's gift as we understand it to give. So this is no criticism of what the coroner has handed down. But one is that Gale's law should actually be expanded beyond the jurisdiction of South Australia. But we want that to occur because, of course, this issue is across Australia. It's Australia-wide, and it doesn't stop at the jurisdictional boundaries of South Australia where the law does actually stop. And we do think the other issue here, and even a broader one, is this just simply shouldn't have occurred in the first place.
Yeah.
We have been advocating and agitating against violence and aggression and about single nurses out in those vulnerable locations. But there is a broader problem across the system. They're every day, or just about every day, across our entire health system in South Australia, nurses, midwives and care workers are being assaulted, are being abused, are being placed in difficult situations, even in our major country and metropolitan hospitals. We recently had a success with security guards being put in at Whyalla and Port Augusta hospitals, but yet there was a brutal assault on a nurse, an absolute bashing where she sustained major injuries at the hands of someone who was a boxer. And that happened in 2019. There was a recommendation put down by Safe Work SA at the time that security officers be placed in that hospital. And to this very day, there are no security officers in that facility. Now, I agree with what you're saying about, when we're talking about gender, what on earth is going on here when on the one hand all of our politicians are saying that women in particular and the nursing and midwifery professions are predominantly female dominated. They're saying women speak up against abuse. Well, I tell you what, nurses and midwives and care workers are speaking up against abuse, yet at the same time the government and the department are sending their very own employees, largely women, into environments which are unsuitable, inappropriate, subject to violence. So the inadequacy or absence of preventative action, the inadequacy or absence of consequences shows an absolute failure of the occupational health, safety and welfare system and its regulation. If these injuries were sustained on a construction site, it would be shut down.
Yeah, totally.
And action would be taken until it was rectified. And I think it's absolutely an outrage and shameful. Absolutely shameful, and I have told the Minister directly. I'm sorry, this is very. I have told the Minister directly that we believe that the failure to act it lands on the head of the government and the department because they are culpable for the failure to act, and the fact that people are being expected to work in this environment and said it's part of the job. You wouldn't say that to a domestic violence victim. You wouldn't say just put up with it. It's part of the package. So why should this workforce? They are absolutely entitled to a safe work environment, and that's exactly what they should get. And not just for them, I should hasten to add, it's for their patients and the visitors as well who are also subject to this rubbish.
Absolutely.
So I'm sorry.
Absolutely. You're entitled to be emotional about it.
Yep.
Elizabeth, because you work in the field, and I got to say, I just felt exhausted yesterday when I got to the end of that report and started writing about it. But we've got to have some bottom line values as a community. One of them is that when any woman is sexually assaulted or raped, no one can ever suggest that it is in any way their fault. So we start with that one. But when it happens in their workplace, when they're actually in the process of trying to help someone, and the laws and work arrangements have actually made all of that possible, aided and abetted by a criminal justice system that doles out second chances like candy. It's just a shocking indictment, isn't it?
The entire conversation at times feels like running before you can walk, where we've moved to a position where yesterday, as you say, we talk about making sure people say the right thing. We've gotten good at saying the right thing. We've gotten good at hashtags and slogans. What we need to get good at is making sure predators and dangerous people are in jail.
Yeah, 100%.
And that would, strike me as a pretty basic first step that would prevent a lot of heartache and anguish. And that one requires action from governments, not words.
Yeah.
Leon Biner.
there is a push to raise the age of criminal responsibility from 10 to 12. This is in an environment where serious offending and the perpetrators are getting younger. There must be some objective test about when young people are responsible for their actions. It's always been 10.
9 till 12 weekdays.
Blaming society in place of personal responsibility is a one-way street to a very disturbed community.
On 5AA.
Peter Shearer Menswear is the brand with the brands. For more than 50 years, our experience has put us ahead of the latest fashion trends. Always. As the largest independently owned menswear brand in South Australia, we will match any genuine price on identical items. Always. But most importantly, our staff are helpful, honest, and understand all body shapes are unique. The Peter Shearer Menswear commitment to ensuring customer satisfaction means we give right and honest advice. Always. Peter Shearer Menswear. Rundle Mall, Glenelg, Mount Barker, and online.
Have you heard of Amplifon, the hearing care professionals? Book your free hearing test today at one of our 300 locations Australia-wide. Call 13-MY-EARS. That's 13 69 32 77. Amplifon, the hearing care professionals.
7:30 Monday, MasterChef serving up Adelaide's best cooks ever.
We're seeing dishes that I would be proud to have on my menu.
MasterChef starts 7:30 Monday on 10 and 10 Play on demand.
Adelaide Tools' grand opening sale is on now at their massive new Parafield Superstore. This is the biggest Adelaide Tools yet, and they've got grand opening specials to match. You'll find unbeatable deals across SA's most comprehensive range of top brand tools and equipment. Get in quick for the best deals on all the big brands. On now at Adelaide Tools' new Parafield Superstore, corner of Main North Road and Kesters Road. Adelaide Tools, trusted brands, trusted service since 1949.
I don't really like talking on radio, but I do like talking about our cows at the FIVEaa Milk Company. And I love helping support SA dairy farmers. They're a great bunch with beautiful families. They work day and night to produce the best milk in SA. So when you're in the supermarket, look for FIVEaa Milk Company. South Australian and proud of it. I'm getting good at this.
FIVEaa Milk Company, celebrating 15 years of SA business. FLURIOMilkco.com.au.
If the thought of this as a job drives you crazy, you might want a job like this. Here's Chris from ASIC Careers to tell you how.
Thanks, Rowie. ASIC Careers is growing, and we need more drivers to keep our promise of perfect service. So if you want a career that takes you places, get in touch with ASIC Careers. Don't send it, ace it.
At Spotlight, get winter ready with a massive 50% off the entire range of ready-to-hang blockout curtains. During this winter, keep the warmth in and the cold out with our huge range of blockout curtains. So you can hang it, close it and keep it warm for less. Sale starts tomorrow. Exclusions apply. At Spotlight, it's what you make it.
You might think having thousands of pals is excessive, but that's not what the team at Parafield Airport Liquor Store think. Because that's how many they have. Sure, they might be made up of over 100 gins, over 200 whiskies, over 300 craft beers, and over 2,000 boutique wines. But they're some of the best pals you could have, and they're always looking for more, even if they are tricky to track down. Parafield Airport Liquor Store. Pals, next to Roulette's Tavern, Kings Road, Parafield.
9 News, weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. The switch is on to the news that's live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide. At Bob Jane T-Marts, there's deals for safer holiday driving. Visit bobjane.com.au. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
24 after 7, we'll check traffic thanks to Dave Potter. Enjoy huge savings in factory bonuses on the 2021 CRV at Australia's #1. That's Dave Potter Honda.
Watch for a smash at Belair Upper Sturt Road, just by the old golf course there, and it's starting to pick up at South Road at Henley Beach Road. The freeway up track slowing at Mount Osman with the left-hand lane closed for works at Camera Road Terrace, North Adelaide. The 40 Winks Super Sealy sale is now on. Get up to 50% off the Sealy Posturepedic mattress range. T's and C's apply. Hurry, and Sunday 40 Winks, serious about sleep. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Traffic coming from Osama's Cave, it sounds like there. 24 after 7. The shop that Guy in Highgate would like to be brought back is the Hang Up store in Regent Place. He says it sold posters and incense in the 1970s. The store was the sights and smells of my youth. Many hours were spent there. Good on you, Guy. Dave, what would you bring back?
Yeah, mate, I'd bring back Alan's Music in Gawler Place for a few reasons.
Yes.
One, for the event of lining up in the alleyway outside to buy tickets to your concert before computerised ticketing came out, because it was the event of the buying the ticket sometimes was actually better than the concert. And also, because I'm a frustrated rock star, and even though I couldn't play a note or sing a note, but geez, I used to like going downstairs and looking at all the guitars and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, it's a great
the
store.
Other thing, they also used to have little lunchtime concerts on sometimes, and I was lucky enough to see Stars play there one day, and friends of mine also saw another little band that she said, I saw this really good band, they called, I don't know, something like Ice Pick. It was actually Cold Jizzle. And so,
Ice Pick.
yeah, so there's a great little store, and I believe it's a chemist now. But,
yeah.
Good
on you, Dave. Thank you. Hayden in Myrtle Bank, good morning.
Good morning, Will and David. I'd like to bring back a novelty shop called Granny May's. I used to own a chain of them.
Oh, you're the owner, Hayden. They were fantastic stores. There was one in the Renaissance Arcade, wasn't there, near the Richmond Hotel there?
No, there's one in the corner of Hindley and King William Street, where the Mayfair is now. Had one in all the Westfield shopping centres. Had one in City Cross. Had 9 of them here in South Australia.
So you had them all, mate?
We used to have all the up-to-date novelties.
Yeah.
I remember when the Crows won the first premiership, we sold 10,000 premiership T-shirts, really big in novelties.
You used to sell all the Larson coffee cups and birthday cards.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Good on you, Hayden. Thank you for calling. Oh, look, I'm happy to hear from some shop owners themselves. Don't be shy.
Yeah.
If you owned a shop that you'd like to have brought back, you can win a meat tray too. 822 300 00. The meat tray, thanks to the team. 41A, the Broadway, Glenelg South. That is Broadway Meats. Time to talk sport, thanks to North Point Toyota. Used vehicle stock always changing at North Point Toyota, Hillcrest Prospect and Port Augusta. It's the North Point way. Stephen Rowe caught up with the old friend of our program, Eddie Betts, to talk about, among other things, Jimmy Rowe and the Eddie Betts pocket.
Just a quick one, Rowe. How are you going? Now you got your little boy playing for the team that you love. Well, I've watched that thing about 10 times. I see more than 10 of you commentating for FIVEaa, and I know your commentary because I've listened to myself of your commentary with me kicking goals on Adelaide Oval, and it was really nice to see. Emotional just to see your enjoyment watching your son kick his first goal on the Adelaide Oval.
Yeah. You know what, Eddie? It's still surreal. It hasn't really sunk in. I've got a job to do here, and that's the hard thing. But first and foremost, I'm a dad, and you're a dad. You got little Billy and Louie. Now you got Eddie Betts the fourth. I just would love every dad that loves the game like I do can have a kid that can play at that level. It is just unbelievable. So it hasn't sunk, to be perfectly honest, Eddie, it hasn't sunk in. I hope I didn't go too over the top.
No, that was good. It was great. It was, it was just raw emotion.
Yeah.
And you can tell him he can have any pocket at Adelaide Oval he wants. Just give me a call and I'll sign it over to him. And
he's got a fair way to go before he's my favourite. You're my favourite, Eddie. He's my son, but you're my favourite.
He's all good. He's playing some good footy. I love watching the Crows at the moment.
Yeah, good stuff. Eddie, it means a lot to me to hear that from you. Hey, well done. All the best. Have a great year and we'll keep in touch.
Hey, all good, Ro. You take it easy. Thanks, Star. Thanks for having
me. How excellent is Eddie? And what about how he basically started interviewing Rowan?
Yeah, I love it. It's just...
He kicked a beautiful goal for Carlton last weekend, didn't he?
Yeah, if there was a place on the football ground for him, he'll provide highlights until he's 60 years old.
Yeah, that's right.
It's what he'll do.
Do you reckon Louis will pop up?
Well, who knows? A lot of pressure on kids.
If so, is he a Crow or is he a Blue?
Oh, now I think he's played enough games for both. Someone will tell us though. 822 300 00. You can text us on the 0448 08 1395. But I think he qualifies for either. But he will have grown up for longer in Melbourne. But we'll have to wait and see.
7:30 Monday, MasterChef serving up Adelaide's best cooks ever.
We're seeing dishes that I would be proud to have on my menu.
MasterChef starts 7:30 Monday on 10 and 10 Play on demand.
Want a new kitchen? A kitchen that comes in under budget? Make your project ideas a reality with You Installer Kitchens. And right now, get a huge 20% factory cashback. custom-sized Farquhar quality cabinetry. Yes, pre-assembled DIY designer kitchens with a 20% factory cashback. But hurry, it's only for a limited time. Visit a showroom today. Modbury, Churchill, Glandore, Norwood and Lonsdale. You Install It Kitchens, the complete DIY kitchen solution. Conditions apply.
You don't have to be rich to enjoy million-dollar views over breakfast. Just take a seat on the deck at the Birkenhead Tavern. Enjoy breakfast every weekend just how you like it. Eggs and bacon, eggs Benedict, croissants, fresh coffee or orange juice. All whilst taking in the magnificent views only the Birk deck can offer. Make the most of every weekend. Start with brekkie on the deck at the Birkenhead Tavern, 9am to 11am. You just know it's a Barreau Hotel.
You know us for our bright blue vans. Metropolitan Plumbing, Electrical and Air Conditioning. We are the proud winners of the Product Review Award for Plumbing in Australia for 2020 and 21. Did you know we offer $0 deposit interest-free payment plans, have no extra charge for after hours and can also often be at your door within the hour? Metropolitan Plumbing, Electrical and Air Conditioning. Available 24/7.
Yeah, keep coming. Left, Barry.
I am going left. Meet Bev and Barry, grey nomads with 10,000 Ks on their caravan and counting.
No, the other left.
That would be right, Bev.
Just park the van.
I would, love, if you gave me the right direction. Walker Crash Repairs may not be able to fix their little arguments, but they can fix their pride and joy if something does happen. Walker Crash Repairs, an RAA-approved crash repairer for caravans and cars.
What makes Rest Haven team members so special? From cooks and kitchen hands to gardeners and maintenance workers, the home care and residential staff, the health professionals and administrators. Since 1935, our team members have made a difference every single day. If you value older people and are looking for a career that will bring out your best, you can rest assured it's Rest Haven. Speak to us today about the wide range of options across our large and varied team. Visit the carers page at resthaven.asn.au.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Partly cloudy today and a top of 21 with the 7:30 news. I'm Mel Usher.
The X in Physio Extra stands for extra time, extra care, extra convenience with 6 locations. Visit physioextra.com.
A woman's been arrested in a stolen car south of the city. The RAV4 was spotted at Ranella around 10 last night. Senior Constable Kimberly Broad says they followed it by road and air, eventually stopping the car at Clovelly Park.
We successfully deployed some spikes on Morfett Road, and the RAV4's rear tyre had been spiked, but it continued to drive and went into Oaklands Road before heading into back streets of Clovelly Park. Now, that's where the driver abandoned the car on Norrie Avenue and ran off, but she was quickly arrested by police.
The 26-year-old from Morfett Vale will front court today. A coalition of South Australian medical experts are warning our mental health system is at crisis point. They're backing a 10-point reform plan by an SA Health whistleblower. It calls for specialist beds, additional staff and social housing. Elizabeth DeBars from the Nursing Federation says action is needed.
We really are now pressing very hard on the Marshall government and the Minister for Health to say, look, you need to stop taking your hands off the wheel, and it's time to step up, time to lead in this area, and most importantly, it's time to take action.
South Australian drug trafficker Cassie Sainsbury is planning a trip home. She spent 3 years in a Colombian jail after being busted trying to smuggle cocaine out of the country in 2017. But her early release required an additional stay in the country. Cassie has now told her followers on social media she'll be back in Adelaide really soon. Vaccinated Australians could potentially be allowed to quarantine at home once international travel resumes. The federal government is examining the potential impacts of the vaccine rollout on overseas travel. Foreign trips for funerals or business could be permitted before borders reopen for other reasons. Foreign Minister Maurice Payne says decisions will be based on expert advice.
This is something which we will work towards. We want to enable Australians who are vaccinated to be able to move and to travel. But that will all rely on medical advice, and we're waiting for that. We need to know that vaccination also protects against transmission of COVID-19.
The US Secretary of State has stressed his country remains committed to supporting Afghanistan a day after Washington announced plans to withdraw all remaining troops. Australia is following suit. The Taliban is declaring it has won the war and America has lost. Smacking could traumatise children the same way severe violent abuse does. That's according to a study from Harvard. Australian psychologists are now calling on state and federal governments to run public health campaigns against physical punishment. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Save up to 15% on selected Asco cooking appliances at Adelaide Appliance Gallery, home of Mr Dishwasher.
With everything footy, here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Mel. Yeah, let's begin there. Port Adelaide coach Ken Hinkley will outline this morning who he's bringing in for injured pair Zach Butters and Xavier Dersma. That's when the Power train a little bit later this morning at Alberton. The Power take on Carlton tomorrow night. Connor Rosie and Orazio Fantasia both nursing sore spots, but both are expected to play. Meantime, Richmond's season is back on track following a thumping win overnight. Nine's Jordan Tunbridge reports.
The Tigers thumped the Saints by 86 points at Marvel Stadium last night, handing Brett Ratton the biggest defeat of his AFL coaching career. Veteran forward Jack Revolt continued his strong start to the season, kicking 5 goals to move up to second on the Coleman medal tally. Dustin Martin collected a game-high 34 disposals, playing predominantly in the midfield, while Marlon Pickett impressed in the backup ruck role. Brad Hill once again drew criticism for struggling to have an impact. He failed to lay a single tackle, along with teammates Max King, Jimmy Webster and Tim Membry. In Melbourne, Jordan Tunbridge, 9 News.
Aussie Cameron Smith has shot straight to the top of the leaderboard following a bogey-free round which included 9 birdies as he shot a stunning 62 to go one clear of American Stuart Sink at the RBC Heritage Tournament in South Carolina. In some soccer, Manchester United and Arsenal have both had great nights in Europe, advancing to the semi-finals of the Europa League after recording comfortable wins. And Mick Fanning's comeback has been postponed with a lay day called on the opening day of the World Surf Tour's Narrabeen Classic. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Dave Potter, Australia's #1 Honda dealer, 2nd year running. DavePotterHonda.com.au.
Crews at a collision in Upper Sturt at Upper Sturt Road, just by the old golf course there. A breakdown causing some issues at South Road approaching the Sir Donald Bradman Drive intersection in Myland South, and is picking up around South Road at Henley Beach Road. As Australia recovers from COVID-19, Australian mining is still backing small business. Find out more at minerals.org.au. There's more to Australian mining. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Make sure you and your car stay cool with aircon and cooling services. Call 1300 Automasters.
21 today and partly cloudy, the same tomorrow and Sunday. Right now it's 12 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
At Bob Jane T-Marts, there's deals for safer holiday driving. Visit bobjane.com.au. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
22 minutes to 8. Shortly, Phil Curry in the nation's capital. Then a little bit later,
Stop. Have time.
Hamish Hartlett on the program after 8 o'clock today. Was massive in the game against Richmond last Friday night. You're going to need more from him this weekend too. Zach Butters, Xavier Dersma missing through injury and will be for quite some time. Looking forward to catching up with Hamish Hart a little bit later in the morning. And speaking of footy, Ange Foley, the acting captain of the Crows on the eve of the AFLW Grand Final, will join us after 8:30 today. That's coming up. But first, let's head to Canberra and talk federal politics. Phil Curry, good morning to you.
Good morning, fellas. Let's hope Hamish Hart plays very well on Saturday night.
He played very well against Richmond last Friday night.
He's got Carlton this weekend, so Phil's got a vested interest.
Let him have I hope he has an off night.
Yeah, it doesn't have too many of them.
He was, but no, he was very good, wasn't he?
He certainly was. Hey, Phil, almost 20 years since September 11 and the intervention in Afghanistan to fight the Taliban in the wake of the attacks in New York City. Australia is bringing the diggers home.
Yeah, look, to be honest, we sort of brought them home a few years ago. There's only 80 people left over there at the moment, which is largely sort of protective and administrative sort of thing. There's actually the thing with Tony Abbott was Prime Minister. We effectively shut the base at Taring Count, and that was our substantial contribution there. And he went over there at the time in October 2013, I think it was, and there was a big ceremony and a speech. But what the PM announced yesterday is obviously the US is about to wind up there in a few more months, so there's no point us leaving our few staff over there. So it marks the official end, if you like, of the war for Australia of any involvement over there. So it's been a long while, 20 years since 9/11. I think it was I think it was early 2002. My memory serves me correct. We first went over there because I remember going over there at the time with Robert Hill. So it was a long
Did
way
you go
back.
to Afghanistan?
A few times, yeah. It was a pretty rough place, but I remember the very first visit when it was first being, the Americans were sort of there, obviously, but then early 2002, Robert Hill was the defence minister at the time, and he went over, and there was some Australian special forces. Just sort of everyone was setting up camp at what was then the Bagram Air Base, the old Russian air base, and everyone was walking around looking like Rambo, special forces from all the different countries. And I remember distinctly them, they were literally bulldozing aside all this abandoned Russian equipment. And I remember thinking, it's just a sort of continuing story of this place, one army out, next one in.
Yeah.
And I guess we're at that stage now where everyone's leaving again, and Afghanistan will just go back to being what it's always been.
You've read a lot about Middle Eastern politics, Phil, and also Afghanistan, I know. Can you see it being a successful nation, Afghanistan, or do you think that...
No. Well, it'll just revert to what it's always been, Dave. It's just a tribe, run by, it's a system of tribes and, and warlords and drug lords and, sort of feudalistic sort of, societies. I mean, it was a Rudyard Kipling who said, every man has his price, but you can only rent an Afghan. It always has been. No one's ever conquered it. It's the Great War of Civilization. Everyone from the Mughals to the British to the Russians to the Americans. No one's ever bought it to. I think Tony Abbott actually said it best when he gave his speech there. He said, we haven't won, we haven't lost. I just hope we can say we left it in a better shape than we found it. But look, it'll revert back to whatever it's always been. The Taliban, I assume, will become resurgent again. Various alliances of tribes and things. And I guess from our point of view, from the point of view of the West, is if you remember the reason everyone went in there was because that was the training ground. Al Qaeda sort of set up base there, and that was where they practiced and whatever for 9/11. Even though they were Saudi Arabians, Afghanistan was the breeding ground. But that's all changed now too. I mean, these people are sort of set up in other countries, and the shape of terrorism has changed. But I guess I'm not sure what the purpose of being there is anymore. To be honest, it's just as a mate of mine over there said, you control the square metre you stand on. Once you walk away from that, you don't control that anymore. And that's very common for these sorts of wars.
It's interesting against that backdrop, Phil, that we had this week. It was declared that the Cabinet was now on a war footing when it comes to the vaccine rollout. And look, it's an evocative turn of phrase. Is anything substantially going to change on that front?
Well, yes, I think so, because as we know, the vaccine program sort of ran off the rails last week with that. There's a couple of things that set it back there. The fact that 3 million doses didn't arrive in Europe, and now the AstraZeneca vaccine has those problems, where the health authorities are recommend, not stipulating, but recommending if you're under 50, think hard before you have one, because there's that minute risk of a clot. So as the Prime Minister said this week, they now have to reassess the entire thing. So he's had to ditch out the plan to have everyone to have had at least one shot by October, and we're now very reliant on imports of the Pfizer vaccine and the other one known as Novavax. And they're still some months away. So what he's announced this week is a couple of things. He's got the National Cabinet back meeting twice a week. Now, there's a political dimension to that, obviously, because they're getting flamed politically for this. It was his number one priority this year is to vaccinate the population. He said that at the start of the year on clearing the decks, all that matters is getting vaccinated, and if they mess that up, they could be in a lot of trouble. So as much as there's a medical and economic imperative, there's also a strong political one. I wouldn't be surprised if the PM's jabbing people himself if he has to. But they'll set up, they're going to start, as well as using the general practitioners, they're going to discuss at national cabinet level setting up these big hubs, right? So you'll have tents and school halls and community halls and things like that where it can get people through much more quickly. But that depends on having the vaccine. So he said in June and July, everyone over 50 who is still safe on medical advice to have AstraZeneca, get these hubs cracking so we can get in there. And then when the Pfizer vaccine arrives, he said in the last 3 months of the year, that's when they're all going to arrive. There'll be a mass vaccination of under 50s, and he says the plan is, and they're not setting deadlines anymore, but the plan is to have everyone done by Christmas.
Phil, Prime Minister Scott Morrison fought back tears yesterday as he was reading out the roll call of the 41 diggers who lost their lives serving in Afghanistan. Did you regard? I'm not trying to be cruel here because I've got no issue with men crying. I think they're perfectly acceptable. But did you?
Footy every week.
Yeah, well, exactly. It's been going on for years now, mate. But did you regard the Prime Minister's tears as the perfectly understandable emotional result of something as heavy as reading out the names of 41 people who gave their lives for their nation, or did you think is there a sense maybe that he's under the pump a bit?
Playing it up a bit. Yeah, look, I think that was the sense. I don't know what to think, 'cause I don't know him that well, whether he's just an emotional bloke or whatever, but certainly there's a degree of cynicism, I think, on that. But it's not like he knew any of them. He didn't even send any of them over there. He wasn't even the sort of Prime Minister with the responsibility of sending those men to war. So, look, I know people could have to make that judgment themselves, Dave. I'm not close enough to him to pick him personally.
Yeah, fair enough. Good answer.
Safe answer. Yeah.
Good on you, Phil.
Phil Curry from the Australian Financial Review. The problem with tears becoming a semi-regular event is it suddenly becomes glaring when there's no tears.
Well, when you run the risk of getting told off for not crying about something 3 weeks from now.
Well, when the story inevitably becomes, it's interesting what he cries about, which it will. And unfortunately, that's just how we assess the performance
I asked
of
about it
politicians.
because it's rare that a politician cries. Like, I can't think of many times. I can think of Hawkey after Tiananmen Square.
Yep.
I can think of John Howard almost crying when he went to Denpasar to meet the families of the Bali victims in 2002.
When he's done it a couple of times in quick succession after not having done it at all. His political career to this
He's
time
under a lot
on.
of pressure.
Oh, absolutely.
And a lot of it's unjustified pressure. I mean, I think the commentary around his wife this week has been a disgrace. And I think that, Magda going on a current affair and saying that Jenny Morrison has to tell the Australian people more about who she is and what she stands for. Well, the last time I looked, her name wasn't on the ballot paper.
Absolutely.
She's not going to cabinet meetings.
The AOC has asked for athletes and staff under the age of 50 to receive the FIVEaa vaccine. They want priority access for athletes ahead of the Tokyo Olympics. Tokyo's now in its fourth wave. They've got 36,000 active coronavirus cases there. And the AOC said, OK, well, if that being the Olympic Committee, if you're sending our guys over there, they should be vaccinated. That would put them, ahead of the line.
So
fair enough or not?
I think no. I think the atmospherics of it are completely wrong.
And if the answer's no, then the inevitable conclusion should be we shouldn't be at the Olympics, and perhaps there shouldn't be an Olympics.
There are Australian expats who still haven't been able to get home.
Yes.
There are people working in hotel quarantine who haven't been vaccinated. I mean, some of them by their own choice. But, there are people who are much more vulnerable who are still waiting for a clear answer around when they are going to be vaccinated. If you dream of winning maybe a bronze medal in the shot put for Australia and want to go to the Tokyo Games, is that such a burning issue that we need to recalibrate our already shambolic national vaccination program to make that occur?
I wonder if, and we'll put this to people on 8223 0000, you can text us on the Telstra Storm at Barker text line too. There's also a case to be made that it'd be nice to have some level of entertainment and normality in the world.
Well, that's true.
Because there'll be 25 million Australians that'll get to watch it and watch Australians compete. And maybe that's a good thing for the cost of... I agree, the optics are just appalling. But what are you talking about? A couple hundred vaccines?
Yeah. But, the matter of... it's similar to the criticism that the Australian Open faced. Moving hell and high water... to make sure that people could come in from high infection countries at the same time as, Melbourne coffee shops weren't allowed to open.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And the entire international student program that injects $40 billion into the nation's economy, that's not allowed to happen.
Yeah. I think if you
but
ask...
Novak Djokovic can come here.
The morality argument, it's not winnable. Should someone who's an athlete get it ahead of someone who's in a more designated vulnerable group? Of course not. But what is the payoff in practice? Does it set you back a week? Does it set you back 3 days so that we can watch our best young athletes compete on the world stage? Interested in what people think. 8223 0000. Give us a call or just text us on the Telstra Storm Out Barker text line. Give it a yay or a nay. Athletes getting priority vaccine ahead of the Tokyo Olympics. 11 to 8. Let's check traffic. Thanks to Dave Potter. Australia's #1 Honda dealer, second year running, davepotterhonda.com.au.
Watch for a collision Elizabeth Vale, Haydown Road near John Rice Avenue, and Cruise at a smash at Upper Sturt Road near the old golf course at Upper Sturt. Marland South, a breakdown causing some issues around South Road near Sir Donald Bradman Drive. The King Living sale ends soon. Save up to 50% on the best in Australian furniture design. Visit the Keswick showroom or shop online at kingliving.com today. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Hello, I'm Lynn Andrews. For over 50 years, we have specialised in commercial and residential property management. But above all, we specialise in people, helping to make life easy for property investors and the tenants of their properties. Everyone is treated with integrity and respect. That's the Lynn Andrews way. For commercial and residential property management, we are here to help. Visit lynandrews.com.au.
Good leaders always look to support local, and they stay local. Like Leader Computers, Australia's largest Australian-owned PC manufacturer, based right here in South Australia. Having a world-class manufacturer of computers is a big win for our state, providing jobs and local support you simply can't get from overseas companies. Looking for the latest Intel and Microsoft-based computers at great pricing with the huge benefit of local support? Google Leader Computers to find your closest Leader reseller.
Living with osteoarthritis means living with pain, but SportsMed is changing that thanks to the revolutionary GLAD program. Here's SportsMed's Dr. Greg Keane with more.
GLAD is a 6-week exercise program performed in groups, and it continues to produce remarkable results for patients, even a year after completing the course. If you are struggling with the pain of osteoarthritis, visit SportsMed. Let's beat this.
SportsMed.
Start living life again, even with arthritis.
Sportsmed.com.au.
How do you know if the milk you're buying is local? Easy. Just look for 3 words. Flurio Milk Company. If the bottle you pick up has those 3 words on it, Flurio Milk Company, it's guaranteed to be local. It's guaranteed to be fresh too. And the big plus, you're supporting SA dairy farmers, and for that, we're forever grateful. 3 words. Flurio Milk Company. South Australian and proud of it.
At Spotlight, get winter ready with a massive 50% off the entire range of ready-to-hang blockout curtains. During this winter, keep the warmth in and the cold out with our huge range of blockout curtains. So you can hang it, close it and keep it warm for less. Sale starts tomorrow. Exclusions apply. At Spotlight, it's what you make it.
At Landlease Retirement Villages this May, the kettle's on for personalised tea and tour appointments. See homes, community spaces or learn about contract options. To book, visit teaandtour.com.au or call 1800 550 550.
7:30 Monday, MasterChef serving up Adelaide's best cooks ever.
We're seeing dishes that I would be proud to have on my menu.
MasterChef starts 7:30 Monday on 10 and 10 Play on demand.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. At Bob Jane T-Marts, there's deals for safer holiday driving. Visit bobjane.com.au. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
7 to 8. Kat says on the Telstra Stormont Bowker text line, there's at least 15 people I know who aren't going to get the vaccine. Happy to give ours to the athletes on the Olympic Games. And then another one says, definitely no way. Why should they get the vaccine before others? 100% no. And also, what's happening to the 1 million dose a week from CSL in Melbourne? That's gone quiet. It's an absolute joke, says the texter. It's gone quiet because that was the one earmarked for under 50s that they now won't be delivered to them. So if you had CSL shares, you might have seen a little bit of movement in the last couple of weeks. Amelia Mulcahy from 7 News joins us to talk about the weather over the weekend. Morning to you, Amelia.
Good morning, guys. How are you going?
We're good, thanks, Amelia. So after the thrills and spills in a meteorological sense of this week with dust storms and what have you, it's all a bit boring for the next few days, isn't it?
It is. It's actually a bit of a numbers game. So, technically we've got a chance of showers every day for the next week ahead pretty much. But over the weekend, when you look at it all as a whole, it's not looking too bad considering what's on. We've got some big events on, of course, the AFLW Grand Final, and that's probably the best day of the week for it to fall on too. On Saturday, there's just a 10% chance of showers, so I'm not going to say there's no chance, a 10% chance, just the slightest chance that you could maybe see a shower on Saturday with a few clouds around. You can't rule it out, but it is the driest day of the two. So they're going for a top of 21 degrees on Saturday. It'll be around 20 degrees around the first bounce as well, just light winds about, so great day to head to the footy. Of course, footy's on again on Sunday. There is a 40% chance of a shower on Sunday then. So not much in it, but just be prepared if you are heading back to the Oval to see the Crows. 21 degrees the top. 21's actually the number to remember, really, because it's also the top temperature for today. Now, there is a slight chance of a shower over the next several hours, but it should be a fine arvo. Just the odd spot on the radar here and there, mostly about the hills and southern suburbs. But, otherwise a pretty nice afternoon, 21 degrees at the top. And then we've got more showers on the way next week. Now, interestingly, yesterday the Bureau released its latest outlooks. They do them every few weeks or so. This one's for May to July. And they're tipping below average rain for most of SA over the next couple of months. Warmer than average days and warmer than average nights, particularly about the coast as well. So that's just one to keep an eye on. Not the news our farmers want to hear. Obviously, they traditionally look for their break in the season around Anzac Day, so that's coming up pretty soon. And we haven't, as we saw with the dust storms earlier in the week, we just haven't had that significant rain to keep the dust down. In Adelaide, we've had about 6.4 millimetres of rain so far this month. The average for April is 44, so we've got a way to go, guys.
Absolutely.
Good on you, Amelia. Amelia Mulcahy from 7 News with all the important weather info. It's a yay from Mike, who says vaccinate for the Olympics. The way the government's behaving, we've got plenty of time. Scott says a nay from me. There are so many more vulnerable groups that need to be vaccinated first. Another person says, of course they should be vaccinated. We're sending them to a COVID-riddled country to represent our country. Went on a rush here. No need for us to be put first. Another person says, yes, athletes should get priority. They're at risk. The rest of us are not. Guy in Highgate says they either go vaccinated or they do not. If you send them in unvaccinated, it'd be irresponsible and they'd have to quarantine when they get back. I think they still will because the science on transmission post-vaccine is still up in the air. So that's they'll have to do that either way. But I think people are very divided.
Yeah, they are. They are. We're getting a lot of text too about prime ministerial tears. One here, David, Scott Morrison didn't cry just for reading out a list of names. He had personal connections with one of the dead soldiers related to someone at the school his daughter attended. Please review the footage on the ABC. Well, actually, there's an idea. We're going to be careful reviewing the footage on the ABC after what we've learnt in the last 24 hours where they deliberately and mischievously re-edited the video of those dancers twerking in front of the new ship to make it look like the head of the Defence Forces was sitting there watching it. He wasn't even there.
All right. Time for John Blake, thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions, interstate freight distribution, warehousing and local Adelaide couriers. Call Aussie Fast, 13 13 64.
Buckingham Palace has announced that Prince Philip has passed away aged 99, just 2 months shy of his 100th birthday. And here in the UK, flags are flying at half-mast.
Well, they like to say how bad it was whenever he made a gaffe. But he made people comfortable and all he did was make them laugh. And that criticism from the press, it just wasn't fair. When we saw Elizabeth, the Duke of Edinburgh was always there. And now the thousands of people he could help ran out of time. Prince Philip was a great man, passed away at 99. We all came out to watch him, hoping he'd kick some goals, but nobody thought that he would soon take a starring role. Oh, Taylor Walker, something inspired this guy. Go, Taylor Walker.
Stephen Hagan. He's probably known best for he was the man who led the successful campaign to rename Coon Cheese. He's asking now about changing the song for it's the Carlton Football Club and also South Adelaide Football Club.
Now here's
was a racist tune. Apparently this is a racist tune. Dr. Hagen wants it overthrown, but if he hadn't mentioned it, no one would have known. He thinks it's awful, although it's lawful. He likes them awful. He needs to know that they're not changing this catchy tune of the Navy Blues.
Wrap of the week with John Blake. We'll hear more from him when we go behind closed doors after 8:30.
We keep up to date with the renting legislation, so you don't have to. Hi, Susanna Toop here from Toop and Toop. As COVID-19 continues to impact everyone in our community, what is needed now more than ever is clarity. At Toop and Toop, we've opened up our weekly real estate radio show, so you can get expert advice at any time. Give us a call on 8362 8888 or go to toop.com.au/landlord advice. We're here to support you if you have any questions.
Dave Potter Honda continues to prove why they're Australia's #1 Honda dealer with great early financial year drive-away deals. Enjoy massive savings on the Honda CR-V and HR-V ranges with huge factory bonuses. Plus, with over 300 new demo and used cars in stock, they'll have the right car for you to test drive today. So come and see the team at Australia's #1 Honda dealer for the last 2 years, Dave Potter. DavePotterHonda.com.au.
Do you think a concert pianist needs a builder's licence? No. Does a chartered accountant need one? Nah. Okay, then what about a house inspector? This will surprise you. Right now, there are no regulations in the industry that say you must be a builder to become a house inspector. Mike Pearl from House Inspect Australia is a third-generation licensed builder, and his team is the most qualified team in Australia for house inspections. It's the biggest purchase decision of your life. Don't risk it. Go to houseinspectaustralia.com.au.
G'day. Before you buy ham for your family, here's a shocking fact you need to know. The majority of all sliced ham in Australia is made from imported meat. So if you want to buy ham made from great tasting Aussie pork and support Aussie farming families like mine, you'll need to look closely at the little bar chart next to the Australian-made kangaroo on your pack. Unless this chart is close to full, you'll be buying ham made from imported meat. So please, always take time to look closely at your packs of ham. And remember, the fuller the bar, the more Aussie they are. Thanks.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
A shower or two today and a top of 21 with the 8 o'clock news. I'm Mel Usher.
The X in Physio Extra stands for extra time, extra care, extra convenience. With 6 locations. Visit physioextra.com.
A woman's been arrested in a stolen car, allegedly carrying a knife and a pair of scissors. The RAV4 was spotted at Ranella around 10 last night and tracked by road and air to Clovelly Park. Senior Constable Kimberly Broad says road spikes eventually brought the Toyota to a stop.
She was searched and also found in possession of a knife and a pair of scissors. A 26-year-old woman from Milford Vale, she's been charged with driving dangerously to escape pursuit, illegal interference, theft and driving unlicensed. She's been refused bail and will appear in court today as well.
Pressures mounting on the state government to fix our broken mental health system. At least 2 psychiatrists have resigned from the Royal Adelaide Hospital in 3 weeks, putting more pressure on overworked staff. A coalition of health leaders has joined forces to demand urgent action, but Health Minister Stephen Wade says it's a complex situation.
Many of these issues can't be fixed by the state government alone. For example, they in a number of places highlight the issue of NDIS, and we certainly have some NDIS patients who have been waiting hundreds of days in hospital because they don't have a place to go.
A leading epidemiologist is calling for calm following the death of a New South Wales woman who developed blood clots days after receiving a COVID vaccine. The woman's death is being investigated by federal health authorities. The 48-year-old had an underlying health condition. Professor Tony Blakely has told Today people shouldn't be jumping to conclusions.
Your risk of dying from this condition as a consequence of the vaccination, these are rough numbers at the moment, is probably 300 times more likely to die of a car crash in a year.
The boss of FIVEaa says a third shot of their COVID vaccine may be needed down the track. The company's chief executive says it's likely a booster shot will be necessary within 12 months, and variants will play a key role in whether annual revaccination is needed. More details have been released about Prince Philip's funeral this weekend. Nine's Carrie-Anne Greenbank says the guest list is capped at 30.
Buckingham Palace has released more details of the Duke of Edinburgh's funeral, and it's been revealed that Prince Harry and William won't be walking shoulder to shoulder behind their grandfather's coffin. Instead, they'll be separated by their cousin Peter Phillips. A Buckingham Palace spokesperson wouldn't say why the royal brothers were being kept apart, but royal commentators say it's indicative of the strain on their relationship. The day of the funeral will likely be the first time they've seen each other in more than a year, and comes after the controversial Oprah interview, which aired while Prince Philip was still in hospital.
In the US, the former police officer accused of killing George Floyd has decided not to testify in his own defence. Derek Chauvin is accused of killing Mr Floyd by kneeling on his neck. The judge, Peter Cale, asked him to confirm his decision was freely made.
Is this your decision not to testify?
It is, Your Honour.
All right. Do you have any questions about your right to remain silent or to testify on your own behalf?
Not at this time, I don't.
All right. Does anyone promise anything or threaten you in any way to keep you from testifying?
No promises or threats, Your Honour.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Save up to $300 on selected Asco dishwashers at Adelaide Appliance Gallery, home of Mr Dishwasher.
And it's over to Tom Wren.
Thank you, Mel. Adelaide captain Rory Sloane has confirmed he'll return to the club this weekend as he recovers from an eye injury. He's hopeful he'll only miss a few more weeks before making his return. He's also expressed his disappointment for fellow captain Chelsea Randall, who'll miss out on tomorrow's grand final against Brisbane after she was ruled out through concussion.
I certainly feel for her. Yeah, like it's tough, isn't it? But as we've seen over the years, like concussion's something we just don't want to mess around with. And I think the way Chelsea's handled herself, there's no wonder she's an unbelievable leader of our footy club.
Yeah, well said. There was one game last night with Richmond smashing St Kilda by 86 points. To golf, and Aussie Cameron Smith holds the outright lead at 9 under following a brilliant bogey-free round of 62 at the RBC Heritage Tournament in South Carolina. It's Smith's lowest ever round on the PGA Tour. To soccer, and Arsenal has eased some pressure on under-siege manager Mikel Arteta after smashing Slavia Prague 4-0 in the Europa League. The Gunners firing from the outset.
But they're very much up against it here, with Arsenal looking really good and threatening once more, and they lead by 3-0. And it's an absolutely sensational opening 24 minutes.
Audio there thanks to Optus. The result means Arsenal will now play against Villarreal in the semi-finals of the competition. Manchester United also through to the semis after a 2-0 win against Granada. One game in the NBL overnight with the Sydney Kings 7-point winners over South East Melbourne. And there was one game in the NRL with Penrith 20 to 12-point winners over Brisbane. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Dave Potter, Australia's #1 Honda dealer, second year running. DavePotterHonda.com.au.
Elizabeth Vale, a two-car collision at John Rice Avenue near Haydown Road, and crews just clearing an earlier smash at Upper Sturt Road, just by the old golf course at Upper Sturt. Marland South has a breakdown slowing the intersection of South Road near Sir Donald Bradman Drive, and starting to pick up at Goodwood Road, Dawes Road for the junction upgrade works there. This year, MasterChef serving up the best cooks and best food ever. MasterChef starts 7:30 Monday on 10 and 10 Play on demand. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Make sure you and your car stay cool with aircon and cooling services. Call 1300 Automasters.
Partly cloudy today, 21, the same tomorrow. Right now it's 13 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
In the last hour on Adelaide's 5AA.
Associate Professor Elizabeth Tabars from the Australian Nursing and Midwifery Federation joins us on 5AA Breakfast.
Look, we are absolutely white hot with anger about how this has happened in the first place and the lack of action we see across the board in those rural and remote communities, but also in our larger country and even metropolitan hospitals.
Let's head to Canberra and talk federal politics. Phil Curry, good morning to you.
Australia is bringing the diggers home.
To be honest, we sort of brought them home 2 years ago. There's only 80 people left over there at the moment, protected and administrative sort of thing. I think when Tony Abbott was Prime Minister, we effectively shut the base at Taring Count, and that was our substantial contribution.
We've got some big events on, of course, the AFLW Grand Final, and that's probably the best day of the week for it to fall on too. On Saturday, there's just a 10% chance of showers, so I'm not going to say there's no chance, a 10% chance, just the slightest chance that you could maybe see a shower on Saturday with a few clouds around. You can't rule it out, but it is the driest day of the two. So they're going to have 21 degrees on Saturday.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
9 minutes after 8, speaking of the AFLW Grand Final, coming up this hour of the program, Ange Foley, who's stepping in as captain in the absence of Chelsea Randall. She'll talk to us on the eve of the Grand Final that'll be called here on 5AA. Tom Wren, Sam Tugwell will call all the action tomorrow afternoon. Massive day tomorrow on 5AA as well, because we will also be broadcasting live the funeral of Prince Philip. That'll be tomorrow night, coverage starting at around 10:30, and we'll stick with it for the duration. So if it's happening in Adelaide or around the world, you'll hear it live on 5AA, and that's going to be a massive day tomorrow. We're got a meat tray to give away this morning, thanks to Dennis and the team at Broadway Meats. Talking about shops that have disappeared, what would you bring back? Dimmicks in the city might be having a temporary hiatus. They're on the move at the moment, looking for a new home, but it makes us ask the question, what would you bring back?
Have you got one, Will?
Oh, I've said this a million times. I'd bring back New York Video at the end of near our street. So many wonderful memories. No better way to browse a movie collection. I can't recapture the magic on a streaming service.
I said Liberty Books in Highmarsh Square. I'd also throw in Bonza Barbecues that used to be near the Brickworks before the redevelopment there. The guy who owned that store, if you walked in and said, "Hi, I'm looking for a standard 4-burner gas barbecue, do you sell them?" He'd look at you with utter contempt and go, "Yeah, we do. If you really want one, they're over there in the corner." He was a charcoal guy. And they sold offset smokers before they were trendy, because now everyone with an underbeard and a flanny and drinking IPA out of a preserving jar. Low and slow has become all the rage among the hipsters. This guy was doing it 20 years ago, and I bought 3 different charcoal barbecues from him, and I've still got one that I use pretty much every 2 weeks, and I love it.
Dougie and Wallinger's got a good view on the Olympic athletes getting vaccinated ahead of the line to get to Tokyo story. He says, you can go on about our athletes, but the powers that be in this state have had 3 months to set up our vaccine shot. Sorry, I don't think they could run a chook raffle. I think Dougie's real concern is even if we committed to vaccinating our athletes before the Olympics, it might not be until the 2026 Olympics
that's right.
that they were ready to go.
Or we'd just do maybe the athletics team and a couple of the yachtsmen.
Yeah, we'd get 4 people over there.
That's right. Well, today in Breaking It 8, we want to spend a bit more time talking about this extraordinary and harrowing 130-page report that the coroner Anthony Chappell brought out yesterday. The key question around the recommendations that the coroner has made to give some purpose and some enduring legacy to Gail Woodford's completely unnecessary and, in hindsight, avoidable death. What really matters now is what happens next. The report that the coroner wrote was aimed at 4 key groups. 3 arms of government, namely the Health Department, the Police and the Attorney General, and also the privately operated Ngumpa Health Council, which runs the provision of medical services in this part of the APY lands. There are some really, really serious questions that this report raises, and I think without any sense of overstatement, you can say that for the criminal justice system and the way it operates here in South Australia, this is comparable to what happened in Victoria with the murder of Jill Maher, where you had a set of circumstances where a guy whose violence towards women was lifelong and escalating, you could predict, anyone with half a brain could have predicted that this man, who the coroner describes in not so many words as basically being beyond rehabilitation, he always had the capacity to do something this violent because he'd done so many things previously on more than a dozen occasions. There's also some serious questions for SAPOL that arise from this report, because one of the unnerving features of the report that hasn't been reported at any length was that at the time he committed the offence against Gail Woodford, there was a warrant out for his arrest, but due to some oversight within SAPOL, the warrant was never executed. Now, the coroner also says that it related to a lesser offence of being unlawfully on premises and giving false information when the killer was knocking around in Coober Pedy. And the coroner says that it would be wrong to assume that had he been arrested, that he necessarily would have been incarcerated. So you can't take a hysterical approach and say, well, he would have been in jail, because there's no guarantees that he would have been. But given that there was a warrant out for his arrest, it should have been executed, and there's been no explanation from SAPOL yet as to why it wasn't. But beyond that, when you look at one of the key recommendations, that the AG must introduce legislation that make it an obligation for SA Police, Corrections and the Parole Board to advise whether an application seeking a prisoner who's deemed to be a repeat sexual offender should be detained in custody until further orders can be secured. That is hugely important. And no one in this state, and I'm not having a crack at the departments or the Health Council or the police for not having responded yet. I think it's totally fine that with a report of this magnitude, they say we need more time. They don't need to make decisions in haste, but they do need to make serious decisions, because we're completely intolerable if this report results in nothing other than a bout of collective shoulder shrugging where we go, well, this was just one of those things. It wasn't one of those things. It was a huge failure, and we're going to keep following it over the coming days and weeks, because things have to change.
Great news ahead of Anzac Day next weekend. Brighton will become the largest dawn service in Adelaide. 10,000 people are going to be able to attend the event. There had been concerns about Brighton and Morphett Vale and their capacity to host Anzac Day during this COVID-affected time. 10,000 people there. The Morphett Vale RSLs confirmed 7,000 people will be able to attend, significantly down from 17,000. But we were just a month ago talking about the fact that some of these giant services might not get to go ahead at all. And the fact that we're going to get even some 17,000 amongst the two of those, where often they'd have up around the 30,000 mark, is fantastic news.
Yeah, absolutely. And we had that conversation with the state RSL president, where initially it sounded like the RSL itself, quite understandably, had basically said, look, it's all going to be too hard. Well, it's good that they've actually revisited that approach with the support of the government after a lot of pressure from the public and also from veterans. But yeah, good that they've got the numbers up.
17 minutes after 8, time to check traffic, thanks to Dave Potter, Australia's #1 Honda dealer, second year running, davepotterhonda.com.au.
The smash of the freeway up track at Mount Osmond causing outbound delays. Elizabeth Vale, they're clearing a praying at John Rice Avenue near Haydown Road. A collision Upper Sturt Road near the old golf course at Upper Sturt. And South Road has a breakdown near the Sir Donald Bradman Drive intersection. With Amazon Prime, you can stream Amazon Originals and movies while also receiving free delivery on Prime eligible orders. Start your 30-day free trial, $6.99 per month thereafter. T's and C's apply. Amazon Prime. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Rowies Sports Show.
Eddie Betts. Eddie, welcome.
Rory, how you going? Now you got your little boy playing for the team that you love. Well, I've watched that thing about 10 times, you commentating for 5AA, and I know your commentary because I've listened to myself of your commentary with me kicking goals on Adelaide Oval.
4 p.m. weekdays.
It was really nice to see. Emotional, just to see your enjoyment watching your son kick his first goal. You can tell him he can have any pocket at Adelaide Oval he wants. Just give me a call and I'll sign it over to him.
Rowies Sports Show on 5AA.
Peter Shearer Menswear is the brand with the brands. For more than 50 years, our experience has put us ahead of the latest fashion trends. Always. As the largest independently owned menswear brand in South Australia, we will match any genuine price on identical items. Always. But most importantly, our staff are helpful, honest, and understand all body shapes are unique. The Peter Shearer Menswear commitment to ensuring customer satisfaction means we give right and honest advice. Always. Peter Shearer Menswear. Rundle Mall, Glenelg, Mount Barker, and online.
There's no blueprints to your new custom-built Beechwood home. Well, not yet anyway. But together with Beechwood, it won't take long to turn your ideas into sketches, then drawings, and finally a home you can live a beautiful life in. That's the really exciting thing about building with Beechwood Homes. They'll build the home you want. So collect your thoughts, your ideas, your Pinterest boards, whatever, and let's talk. Because life's good
It's even better in a Beechwood home.
Adelaide Tools' grand opening sale is on now at their massive new Parafield Superstore. This is the biggest Adelaide Tools yet, and they've got grand opening specials to match. You'll find unbeatable deals across SA's most comprehensive range of top brand tools and equipment. Get in quick for the best deals on all the big brands. On now at Adelaide Tools' new Parafield Superstore, corner of Main North Road and Kesters Road. Adelaide Tools, trusted brands, trusted service since 1949.
7:30 Monday, MasterChef serving up Adelaide's best cooks ever.
We're seeing dishes that I would be proud to have on my menu.
MasterChef starts 7:30 Monday on 10 and 10 Play on demand.
G'day to warm nights. G'day to the great outback. G'day to seaside escapes. G'day to the open road. There's no better time to hit the road with over 40 holiday parks in South Australia and over 280 Australia-wide. G'day Parks has the greatest choice of holiday parks in the greatest destinations. Plan and book your next trip at g'dayparks.com.au and say g'day to more of Australia.
At Spotlight, get winter ready with a massive 50% off the entire range of ready-to-hang blockout curtains. During this winter, keep the warmth in and the cold out with our huge range of blockout curtains. So you can hang it, close it and keep it warm for less. Sale starts tomorrow. Exclusions apply. At Spotlight, it's what you make it.
9 News, weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. The switch is on to the news that's live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide.
At Bob Jane T-Marts, there's deals for safer holiday driving. Visit bobjane.com.au. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
21 minutes after 8, been talking about the shops you wish returned for Meat Tray Friday, thanks to the wonderful people at Broadway Meats, 41A, the Broadway, Glenelg South. A few people, David, would like you to expand on your favourite barbecue recipes, given your wish to return to the good old days of being able to buy your favourite charcoal barbie.
I like a dry rub that's got ground coffee beans in it. Coffee gives a real smokiness to
Unfortunately, we don't have time for that right now because Hamish Hartlett joins us on 5AA Breakfast. It is hammer time. Thank God for that. Get a Puritap from $49 up front on a payment plan. T's and C's at puritap.com.au. Hamish, good morning to you, mate.
Good morning, fellas. How are you?
We're good, thanks, Hammer. Now, I've got to say, my wife is on the Crows board. She was most unimpressed last Friday night at our place when I was not quite barracking out loud, but certainly emotionally invested in Port beating Richmond. And, mate, every time you got the ball, and it happened 17 times, you had a blinder.
Well, maybe in the second half. I'm not sure I actually hit a target by foot in the first half, so the pressure was certainly mounting, that's for sure.
Second half is winning time.
It was a brilliant game to be a part of. You know, you love playing in those super high pressure, high intensity games, and when you fall on the right side of the result in them, it's always much better. So it was a brilliant game.
Is it good to get a super competitive fixture against a premiership fancy under your belt early in the season? So it reaffirms to the squad, you know what, there is no one that this Port side should be afraid of this year.
Yeah, I think so. Particularly after our performance against West Coast the week before, we pretty disappointed in the way we played that game, particularly defensively. So to come out and take it right up to and beat the former premiers was really exciting for us. And I guess as you mentioned, it sort of reaffirms where we're at and the confidence and the belief in what we're doing at the club.
That goal you kicked in the third quarter, because you're normally defending, aren't you, up the back?
Yeah, correct.
Sorry, excuse my limited knowledge of the game. But how many goals have you kicked in your career? Because that one in the third quarter was just that, and at a time when Port, I think, were only like 5 points up or something. Like that was some huge breathing space that you bought.
Yeah, I think. Well, I played a lot of probably the first half of my career, sort of in the midfield and up forward. So I think I'm up around 80 goals for my career.
Yeah, right.
So
up around 80. Do you know the exact number?
76, maybe.
Round it up.
So look, that was one of those things where it's like, the way the modern day game's played these days is that your defenders, when the ball's deep inside our 50 as that ball was, the defensive group sort of gets really high up the ground to press the opposition in, and it was a rush kick from Richmond that landed in my lap, and as I mentioned at that point in time, I think I'd barely hit a kick all game, so I thought, you know what, I've got nothing to lose here. If I try and find a target, I'll probably turn it over, so I might as well just have a crack. And I must admit, when I was walking in my approach to having a crack, I thought I'm actually quite a long way out here, and I think there's a bit of a breeze sort of pushed into my face, so I wasn't overly confident that I was going to make the distance, but it came off pretty flush, and it was accurate as well. So that was a big moment for me, personally, just to relieve a bit of stress and a bit of pressure that was on my shoulders. But I think the boys sort of sensed that as well.
As a Crows fan watching it, it felt a bit to me like watching another like you, another West Adelaide Football Club great, and Rory Laird sort of pushing up the ground from half back and slotting one through.
Yeah, and I think that we'll probably find a little bit more of that this year in the AFL game, given the little rule change to the man on the mark. I think the half-backers would definitely take advantage of that. If I can sneak on the scoreboard a few more times this year, that'd be great. We'll see how we go.
And this won't be news to you, Hamish, but to those listening, you were 100% right. It is 76 goals. Now,
there you go. I knew it was around the mark. So.
Oh, yeah, you knew. There's some challenges you got on the injury front, though. Now, Xavier Dersma's going to miss a significant amount of time this year. Zach Butters will be out for a month. What's the most difficult thing to replace with those two guys missing time?
I think it's just, it's the natural flair that those guys both play with, particularly, Butsy, he sort of makes things up on the go. And, that I almost think that's pretty rare these days in modern day footy. I think a lot of us have been coached to such a particular structure and game plan that perhaps we've lost a little bit of that in our game, whereas those young guys, they've come in, and Kenny, to his credit, has just encouraged them to play with absolute freedom and flair. And Butsy brings a great dynamic through the forward line and the midfield for us. He's very composed with the footy, makes great decisions and executes really well. And Xavier's incredibly courageous. He runs all day and creates a lot of offense for us while also helping us out defensively as well. So we're definitely going to miss a lot of those attributes that those boys bring. But having said that, it provides great opportunity for other boys to prove themselves for a period of time at AFL level. It's not just going to be a 1 week in and potentially get dropped the next week. It's these guys have got a good month or so to really earn a spot and prove themselves at the level. So that's exciting for us too.
You're a former teammate, Brad Ebert, spoken in the Tizer this morning about moving the pre-finals bye to be a pre-grand final bye. How would you feel about that move?
It's an interesting one. It might sort of even things out a bit in terms of momentum. I know, generally the team that plays in the prelim that is, really hotly contested and sort of closer in the result is generally the team that goes on to win the grand final. So it might just sort of even things out a little bit with the momentum going into that game if there is a week off in between. And what it will do is allow both teams to really freshen up and ensure that they've got the best players on the park that are physically at their peak and not sort of going in with any niggles, which is really important for our game as well if we want to see the best players playing well. So there's certainly some advantages to it, but I think at that time of year everyone's pretty keen just to crack into that last game and and watch it all unfold. So we'll see how we go.
Well, good luck against a pretty unpredictable Carlton side. Depends which Carlton shows up as to how tough it's going to be for Port at the MCG tomorrow, Hamish. But a win on the road would be good to bounce back after the disappointment over in the West a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're right. Carlton have played some fantastic footy this year. They've been really impressive at times, and then I guess it's just a bit of that consistency that's wavered in their performance, as has ours in recent weeks as well. So certainly another cracking contest. We haven't played at the MCG for a long time, so we can't wait to get back to there and put on a good show for everyone over in Melbourne.
All the best, Hamish. Great to have
Good
you on,
stuff.
mate. Hamish Hartlett, thanks to PureTap. You can get one from $49 up front on a payment plan. T's and C's, puretap.com.au. Fuel Watch, thanks to Dave Potter Honda this morning. Fuel in the high $20s. We can find it cheaper for you, though. The Liberty Grand Junction Road at Port Adelaide, $1.14. The BP on the Run Gorge Road, Athelston, $1.21. The Ex-Convenience North East Road, Hampstead Gardens, $1.13, thank you very much. And the Liberty at Meringue Avenue, Camden Park, $1.21.
When people walk through the doors at Powell's, the first thing they say is wow. Not only because of the size and the selection, but also because of the team. Sam and Jamie have tasted every drop. They and their team can recommend a whiskey that's just as good as that hard-to-find Japanese one, if they don't have it, that is. Or a beautiful red that's reminiscent of that outstanding cellar door you once travelled so far to visit. Parafield Airport Liquor Store. Powell's, next to Roulette's Tavern, Kings Road, Parafield.
Want a new kitchen? A kitchen that comes in under budget? Make your project ideas a reality with You Install It Kitchens. And right now, get a huge 20% factory cashback. Custom-sized Farquhar quality cabinetry. Yes, pre-assembled DIY designer kitchens with a 20% factory cashback. But hurry, it's only for a limited time. Visit a showroom today. Modbury, Churchill, Glandore, Norwood and Lonsdale. You Install It Kitchens, the complete DIY kitchen solution. Conditions apply.
Hi, I'm Izzy, and my family runs St. Louis Home Care, which was started by my great-grandma over 70 years ago.
Izzy, your great-grandma would be so proud, with St. Louis now being one of South Australia's leading providers of home care. From check visits to shopping, meal and medication support, St. Louis have it covered. And then there's the gardening, home maintenance and personal care.
Don't forget the social activities. Google St. Louis Home Care to find out how my family can help take care of yours.
When you've been around for over a century, you know a thing or two. And Business SA and Ray White have almost 300 years between them. So when an alliance is formed between Business SA and Ray White Business Sales SA, they're bringing all their experience to your business, making sure it's in top shape, whether you're buying, selling, or somewhere in between. Get in touch with the experts, Business SA and Ray White Business Sales SA on 8300 0000. That's 8300 0000.
Across the school holidays, hop aboard Steam Ranger's famous cockle train. With 3 trips daily between Gawler and Victor Harbour, ride behind vintage steam trains, classic diesels and heritage rail cars along one of Australia's most scenic coastal railways. Or head inland with special trips to Finnis and Strathalbyn. For more info, visit Steam Ranger online or on the line, with tickets available from the Goolwa, Port Elliot and Victor Harbour stations. Steam Ranger Heritage Railway, proudly supported by FIVEaa and Channel 9.
Decided you need to get behind the wheel of a new Mazda? You don't have to wait for end of financial year sales. Mawson Lakes Mazda has amazing deals across the entire range of new Mazdas right now. With up to 300 cars on site, you're sure to find the model and colours you're dreaming of. Or drive away in a low-kilometre demo before the crush of end of financial year sales. Don't wait months. Get into Mawson Lakes Mazda now, just a short drive from the city.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Partly cloudy today and 21 with the 8:30 news. I'm Mel Usher.
The X in Physio Extra stands for extra time, extra care, extra convenience. With 6 locations. Visit physioextra.com.
A learner driver has allegedly been busted more than 40 k's over the speed limit under the influence and driving unsupervised. The 27-year-old man was clocked at 152 k's an hour in a 110 zone at Penfield. He also failed a breath test, his reading more than double the legal limit. The car has been impounded for 28 days and he's been prevented from obtaining or applying for a driver's licence for 6 months. He'll be summoned to front court at a later date. A woman's been arrested in a stolen car at Clovelly Park. The RAV4 was spotted at Ranella shortly before 10 last night. Senior Constable Kimberly Broad says it had been taken from an address at Tonsley.
They followed the car as it turned onto the Southern Expressway and headed north, then onto Marion Road and Sturt Road, and also we had Polair come in to assist with monitoring the car from the air.
Road spikes were successfully deployed. The driver did a runner but was detained nearby. Officers allegedly locating a knife and a pair of scissors. The 26-year-old from Morphett Vale will front court today on a string of charges. Clinicians and health experts have joined forces calling for urgent action to address the state's mental health crisis. A shortage of psychiatrists across the RA and QEH and prisoners and NDIS clients taking up beds are putting pressure on the system. But Health Minister Stephen Wade says there's no quick fix.
A lot of these issues are certainly well recognised by the government. We need to address them in partnership with the federal government and with the non-government sector. We're certainly keen to continue to work with consumers, carers and clinicians.
The Prime Minister has warned opening international borders too soon could lead to a major spike in COVID cases in Australia. Nine's Jonathan Kersley reports from Canberra.
International travel has long been the final piece in the COVID jigsaw, but the Prime Minister has suggested it could be further away than initially thought. Scott Morrison has warned cases could spike dramatically if travel is allowed too soon, and he says he's looking to health authorities on whether Australians who want to go overseas for business or to attend funerals could travel and quarantine at home rather than in hotels, but any plan would require the states and territories to be on board.
Preparations are continuing ahead of Prince Philip's funeral. COVID restrictions will limit this weekend's congregation to 30 people. The guest list includes all 8 of the Queen and Duke of Edinburgh's grandchildren, but no great-grandchildren. The Queen will sit alone and wear a face mask. Majesty magazine's Ingrid Seward says the Duke's coffin will be transported to the chapel on a custom-built Land Rover hearse that he helped to design.
Behind the Land Rover will be the princes, if you like, William and Harry and the Earl of Sussex, the Duke of York, all the family will be there. And then behind them, the Queen in a state Bentley.
And the Powerball didn't go off last night, so it's jackpotted to $80 million next Thursday. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Save up to 15% on selected Asco cooking appliances at Adelaide Appliance Gallery, home of Mr Dishwasher.
Got to get a ticker for that one, Tom Wren.
I was going to say that one's ours, Mel. It's got our names all over it. Let's start with footy. Port Adelaide will have to make at least 2 changes when it names its side to take on Carlton at the MCG tomorrow night. The Power have to replace injured duo Zach Butters and Xavier Dersma. Defender Hamish Hartlett telling David and Will the victory against Richmond was great for their belief moving forward.
Come out and take it right up to and beat the former premiers was really exciting for us, and I guess as you mentioned, it sort of reaffirms where we're at and the confidence and the belief in what we're doing at the club.
One game last night with Richmond underlining its premiership credentials with an 86-point hiding of St Kilda. Meantime, the Crows and Brisbane players will train today ahead of tomorrow's AFLW Grand Final at Adelaide Oval. To golf, Aussie Cameron Smith holds a one-shot lead after the opening round of the RBC Heritage Tournament in South Carolina. He shot a brilliant 9-under 62. In tennis, world number 1 Novak Djokovic has been left stunned after he was beaten in straight sets at the Monte Carlo Masters by Dan Evans. The Brit reportedly furious pre-match after he felt he was made to wait by the Serbian in the players' tunnel. Djokovic admitting he was well beaten on the day.
Just awful performance. I can't take any positives away from this match. I mean, I just, he dismantled my game. I mean, I was just feeling and playing pretty bad.
And Aussie Ben Simmons has posted 17 points for Philadelphia in a 6-point win over NBA heavyweights Brooklyn. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Dave Potter, Australia's #1 Honda dealer, 2nd year running. DavePotterHonda.com.au.
A smash at Mount Osmond on the freeway up track causing delays. Elizabeth Vale, John Rice Avenue near Haydown Road, they're clearing a collision. They're clearing 1-2 at Upper Sturt Road, just by the old golf course at Upper Sturt. Ashford South Road near Anzac Highway, a breakdown causing delays there. And at Regency Park, watch for a bit of a hazard with a screw spill at the intersection of Grand Junction Road and Gallipoli Drive. This Saturday, watch the Adelaide Crows take on the Brisbane Lions in the 2021 NAB AFLW Grand Final. 1:30pm at Adelaide Oval. Get your tickets at women's.afl. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Make sure you and your car stay cool with aircon and cooling services. Call 1300 Automasters.
21 for your Friday, partly cloudy, the same tomorrow. Right now it's 15. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Then I saw her face.
At Bob Jane T-Marts, there's deals for safer holiday driving. Visit bobjane.com.au. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
22 minutes to 9. The AFLW Grand Final will start at 1:30 tomorrow at the Adelaide Oval. It'll be called live here on 5AA by Tom Wren and Sam Tugwell. Gates open at 12 o'clock at the Oval, and at 1:16 our next guest will enter the playing arena. Leading out her team, Ange Foley is the acting captain of the Crows women's side. Ange, good morning to you.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on, guys.
How are the butterflies, Ange?
Every time I talk about it, I think they get a little bit worse. But, very exciting and definitely very nervous for tomorrow.
Be up to 40,000 people there under the COVID management plan. They sold 10,000 tickets in the first 15 minutes. It's going to be a massive crowd. It'll be a huge occasion. Are you buoyed at all by the fact, or have you gone back and watched your round 4 clash with Brisbane this year where you knocked them off by 3 goals?
I watched about half of it the other day, and then I stopped because I don't know why. I just don't really watch much footy and thought, why am I doing this? Just making me more nervous. But it gives us a little bit of an edge, I suppose, knowing that we can beat them. But grand finals are always different. We all know that.
Hey, Andrew, I've got to ask, I was talking last night to Craig Scott, who is the president of the Goodwood Saints Football Club, and we had him on our show earlier this year. He won South Australian Community Worker of the Year with his work with the Saints. He was saying, 10 years ago, there's no women's footy at the Saints. And now fast forward into what is the 5th year of AFLW. They've now got 5 girls' teams. They've got 2 women's teams. What does it mean for a woman like you who presumably grew up being footy mad? Could you even play in a comp when you were a little girl?
Yeah, no, I didn't actually play until I was about 21 in uni. So 12 years ago, which doesn't really seem like a very long time when you think 5 of those years have been playing for Adelaide. So I'm a teacher as well here in Adelaide, and I can just see the growth just in our school and the competition that we play in. I've got over 100 girls signed up to play for my school this coming season. So
wow.
It's great. It's awesome that we can have that impact, and it's great that you can see the sport growing for females.
Because there's women in the team, I know tomorrow, is it Tia Campbell, who's quite young? She never had... She's from down south, down Christie's Way, and she never had a club that she could play for as a girl.
Yeah, I actually talk to my students a lot about it's different sports that you kind of have played growing up that can bring into not only just football but other games. Those skills can transfer quite easily. You see that in Aaron Phillips and the likes of Shani Layton, who plays for Collingwood as well. So we're fortunate in that way, but no, you're right, we haven't. Most of us have probably not played since we were little tackers.
Yeah.
You mentioned the butterflies in the stomach on the eve of a grand final. You've got them even though you've won 2 of these before. Is there any danger that in a side that's full of people that have won the grand final that you might not have the nervous energy that your opponents will have?
Oh, maybe. I think it's very individual. But, we talk about that we've got a lot of experience, but so do they. 7 of their players have been there since 2017 as well. I think we've got about 10 playing, so that kind of evens itself out. They've had plenty of finals experience as well. It's a big game. I suppose it just who wants it more on the day.
Mm. And you're captaining. I imagine you're tremendously proud to be able to lead the girls out, but under the circumstances, it must be mixed emotions. How's the week been for you?
Yeah, very much so. Chelsea's a really good friend of mine, and on Monday when she stood up and told us that she was accepting what the decision was and these are reasonings for it, you can just tell that that's the kind of person that Chelsea is. She's putting others before her and sending a really nice message to grassroots football. So I'm very proud of her for the way that she's conducted herself this week. She's been upbeat as much as she probably doesn't want to be, and on Wednesday she took me for a walk and asked me if I wanted to take the reins as captain, and I immediately started crying. And it's very, I'm very humbled by it. Don't really want it to take away from my game and the team's game, but it's going to be pretty amazing, especially if we win.
What a lovely moment. That's a great story, Ange.
Hey, Ange, all the best for tomorrow.
Yeah, go the Crows.
Yeah, thank you. It's going to be great, hopefully.
3-peat.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Wishing you guys all the luck. You won't need it because you're a wonderful side and you'll lead them well, Ange. Appreciate your time this morning. Thanks for chatting with us.
Thanks very much. Cheers.
Wonderful access you get, isn't it, on a grand final eve to be able to chat with the captain of of the side, preparations and all. Great insight too.
Yeah.
watching the game from earlier in the week and
the walk with Chelsea.
Walk with Chelsea, fantastic. Good on you, Ange.
Get along tomorrow, folks. There's still tickets available.
Yeah, and you have to get tickets, I think. This won't be a roll-up on the day type arrangement.
Absolutely.
It's 17 to 9. Mark and Felix Stowe has called in for the meat tray, thanks to Broadway Meats, with a suggestion of a shop that should come back. Morning to you, Mark.
Fellas, all I remember was the Harris Scarfs one, where it was really a family store. You know, you go in there, it was always packed, and it always had specials for families and good value. And as kids, I remember we went in there and went with our parents. And after we shopped there, where did we go? The wonderful Balfour store. The smell of those pies and pasties.
Yeah.
And then to top it off, the old green frog.
Did you eat the frog cake, Mark?
Yes.
Oh, see,
I've never met anyone who's eaten one.
We've got a working conspiracy theory that no South Australians actually ever eaten a frog cake. So that's good to hear.
What do they taste like?
Well, I mean, it's a bit creamy, but I don't know. It just...
Yeah.
Well, I've got to be honest. I did eat it, but I didn't eat it because my mum ate the rest, so I didn't eat it. But it was
Okay.
It's one of those things we did when we went to town. Harris Scarf, then the Balfours.
Good on you, Mark. Thank you. Our producer Andy is a huge advocate for the
frog cake.
For the frog cake. That said, he was born in Scotland. So
Yeah.
see, I think
Interestingly, what Andy does with the frog cake, he batters it and fries it.
I think they came over from Scotland, the Rusgars, and thought, well, I guess this is what the South Australians do.
Well, yeah.
And everyone sort of cast a side eye at them, thinking, crikey, one of them...
Fry me a wee frog cake for tea.
One of them's having a frog cake. Scott,
Absolutely
good morning.
Fantastic.
Good morning, boys. How you going?
Good, mate.
I would bring back, I can remember this vaguely as a young kid in the 70s, service stations. They used to, I can remember Mum and Dad pulling in, they'd fill up your fuel, wash your windscreen, check your oil and pump your tyres up. They still call them service stations today, but really they should be renamed self-serve stations.
100%, Scott. My first job, Bowser Boy, down there in Esso on Sturt Road, used to do the... do the complimentary windscreen clean.
You don't get that service these days unless you drive a Formula One car, I think. Pam
Or
in
if you
Redwood
go to
Park,
Gillis
good
Street.
morning. How are you, Pam?
Pam?
Oh, good morning. Sorry.
You're all right.
I would love them to bring back a theatre like the Regent Theatre
Yes.
in Rundle Street. It was really beautiful. You'd go in there and it was so relaxing. There was always a man playing the organ. And then when the movie would start, they had a great big curtain, red curtain. I can also even remember the colour, and it would slowly go back before the movie started. It was so lovely.
Movie theatres were theatres at one point, not concrete boxes that they are these days. There's no atmosphere to them. Graham in Seacombe Gardens, good morning.
Good morning, fellas. How are we?
Good, mate.
Good, thanks, mate.
South Australian icon Amscoll ice cream. They had a shop down on Pulteney Street next to the Earl of Aberdeen. You'd go in there and have ice cold thick shakes, milkshakes, twin chocks, dairy chocks, berry bars and dandies, if you remember the old Amscoll.
Everyone says who's at Amscoll that there's there's no other ice cream that's like it. They did
Absolutely.
something totally unique.
It was really creamy, wasn't it? Eskimo pies.
Absolutely.
The
Yeah,
Eskimo
and-
pie
and-
was good.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. And, I drove trucks, delivery vans for them in the early 70s. And that shop was iconic. You know, you'd go in there and beautiful, fresh, thick shakes and ice cold, beautiful stuff.
What were the ones in little pots with the little wooden stick called, Graham?
That was the dandy.
That's
that was
right.
the dandy.
That's
yeah.
right. Oh, yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Great entry, Graham.
That's a
Thank
good
you.
one.
Leon Biner's coming up after 9 o'clock this morning. Morning to you, Leon.
Morning, Will and Dave. A lot of people ask the question, if we've got $700 million to splurge on a stadium, how come we don't have enough money to better resource mental health?
Yeah.
So we've got adjunct Professor John Mendoza to have a talk about this, because this affects us all. The other interesting one is the plan to switch off electrical appliances remotely without your consent. Have you heard this?
Yeah. No.
Well, I don't know. As I said, I love to wire you into these discussions. We've got the Vincent de Paul policy officer, Gavin Duffy, who's got all the info on this, and you'll love what you're going to hear. See you after 9.
Yeah, they can turn your pool pump on and off and things
And
like
your
that.
air conditioning.
And your air conditioning.
Yes.
Yeah.
And maybe your heating. or cooling.
Do you have to call your local member then on a hot day to get your aircon put back?
I'm not sure the local member can actually influence anything.
Well, I'm not sure whether to be comforted or frightened. Good on you, Leon. Wait for the info after 9 o'clock this morning. Sylvia in Salisbury, good morning.
Good morning. I would like to bring back any store that had a soul about it like we used to have, where people really attended to you and smiled and you meant something. But definitely the Myer Bargain Basement.
Good on you, Sylvia. Yeah. Great suggestion. 11 minutes to 9. We're going to get some more, and we'll also award the meat tray thanks to the team at Broadway Meats in a moment. 8223 0000 or text us on the Telstra Storm Out Barker text line. But first, we'll check traffic thanks to Dave Potter. Enjoy huge savings and factory bonuses on the 2021 HRV at Australia's #1. That's Dave Potter Honda.
Crews working to clear collision at the freeway up track at Mount Osmond, causing outbound delays. South Road near Anzac Highway, a breakdown causing some issues through Ashford. Bit of a hazard with a screw spill at the intersection of Grand Junction Road, Gallipoli Drive and Regency Park. Specsavers is giving everyone with health cover $50 off lens options like smudge-resistant polarisation and more. Offer ends April 28. Conditions apply. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Nothing beats that new car experience, and you'll still be feeling it long after you drive away in a new Kluger 7-seat hybrid SUV from Jarvis Toyota. With all-wheel drive hybrid power and intelligent safety technology, the Kluger is where freedom meets family. The buzz around the new Kluger is huge, so register your interest at Jarvis Toyota, Clovelly Park today. Rediscover the road in the all-new Toyota Kluger Hybrid at Jarvis Toyota, South Road, Clovelly Park, proudly celebrating 20 years of great deals.
7:30 Monday, MasterChef serving up Adelaide's best cooks ever.
We're seeing dishes that I would be proud to have on my menu.
MasterChef starts 7:30 Monday on 10 and 10 Play on demand.
Adelaide Tools' grand opening sale is on now at their massive new Parafield superstore, spread over 1,650 square metres. This is the biggest Adelaide Tools yet, and they have grand opening deals to match. You'll be there, David. You'll find unmissable deals with SA's most comprehensive range of top brand tools and equipment for the tradie and the serious DIYer. Do you consider yourself a serious DIYer?
No, not even close. Wouldn't know where to start.
You're a more comedic DIYer.
I look at a router and I go, what do I do with that? No idea. Any of those sort of Milwaukee tools make me feel less than a man. The gardening stuff, however, give me a telescopic chainsaw and watch me go.
But speaking of shops and people wanting a return to decent service, you go to Adelaide Tools. You don't need to be a genius to work it out. They'll help you. Their service is just sensational. From the front of the van to the back of the trailer, they've got you covered. Grab a grand opening deal while you can. Sale ends this Sunday at 4. For the best deals on all the big brands, head into Adelaide Tools' huge new Parafield Superstore on the corner of May North Road and Kesters Road in Parafield. Adelaide Tools, trusted brands, trusted service since 1949.
At Spotlight, get winter ready with a massive 50% off the entire range of ready-to-hang blockout curtains. During this winter, keep the warmth in and the cold out with our huge range of blockout curtains. So you can hang it, close it and keep it warm for less. Sale starts tomorrow. Exclusions apply. At Spotlight, it's what you make it.
If the thought of this as a job drives you crazy, you might want a job like this. Here's Chris from ASIC Careers to tell you how.
Thanks, Rowie. ASIC Careers is growing, and we need more drivers to keep our promise of perfect service. So if you want a career that takes you places, get in touch with ASIC Couriers. Don't send it, ace it.
Keeping your business connected as you grow from here
to here.
It starts with a business mobile plan that helps you work on the go. Search Optus Business today. Great business starts with yes.
9 News, weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. The switch is on to the news that's live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide. At Bob Jane T-Marts, there's deals for safer holiday driving. Visit bobjane.com.au. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
7 to 7, we're giving away a meat tray in the next 5 minutes, thanks to Dennis and the team at Broadway Meats. Well known for their dry-aged rump steak. But you mentioned Broadway Meats, people go, is that the dry-aged rump steak, people? Yeah, they're the ones. They also do dry-aged roast. You can get it for just $29.50 per kilo. That's a steal. 41A, the Broadway, Glenelg South. Good strip of shops. on the Broadway there. It's a nice...
It's a lovely road,
It's
too.
It's a really pretty part of Adelaide.
Some beautiful old homes there.
Yeah.
There's a groundswell. If the people who used to run Don Giovanni's in Rundle Street are listening, on behalf of the people of South Australia, can you please reopen your restaurant as a matter of urgency? One here from Steve saying, best calzones ever. Could not agree more. The Don Giovanni's calzone, and it used to be a good late-night place. Like, it was open till all hours. You go and see a band and then sneak in there from the Austral at midnight, get a calzone in here and keep going for another 2 hours.
6 to 9, let's get behind closed doors. Thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions, interstate freight distribution, warehousing and local Adelaide couriers. Call Aussie Fast 13 13 64.
And when we get behind closed
13.95, Adelaide's 5AA. This is Tony Pilkington.
Yeah, hello everybody. Welcome along to the afternoon thing that we do, and we like to do as we do, if you don't mind, in lieu of the fact that we don't mind to do it in the afternoon. And naturally enough, as always, as we do, and we love to take your telephone calls and emails and texts, and very much we want you to be part of the show. It's always been part and parlour of the part and parcel of the show. Alrighty. Ben has called in about something or other. Hello, Ben.
Yeah, g'day, Pilko. I reckon, you know, what they should do with that big Scotsman is fully develop that site and have the giant Scotsman with a rotating restaurant right up the top.
Oh, yeah, alrighty, okay, Ben, alright, Ben, okay, oh, yeah, hopeless when you go off the tablets, you really are. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I am actually on medication, so...
Alrighty. An email from Caitlin, and she said, g'day, Pilko. She goes on to say in this email I said from Caitlin, she said in the email, her granddaughter Emily is doing a school project on the most famous person you've ever met. So a school project on the most famous person you've met in this email from Caitlin about her granddaughter Emily and wanting to know who is the most famous person you've met. And Caitlin goes on to say in the email I got from Caitlin about her granddaughter that the school project, and she has to have the project completed by Friday, even though the school holidays started Monday. But she's had no luck at all with her family and friends and relatives, and none of them have met anybody famous. So if you can help out at all, if you've met anybody famous yourself, then give us a bell on that 8223 0000 number of ours and tell us who you've met that's famous, and help out with Emily's school project. Her grandmother Caitlin sending me an email on behalf of her granddaughter Emily, who's doing a school project, and tell us who you've met that's famous, and then Emily can use that and pretend that it was her that met the famous person and hand in a completed school project that's a complete lie. Alrighty.
It's the best thing short of an Australian state citizenship test is asking people how to say school.
Skill.
Because
such
the
a
moment
Sydney thing, isn't it?
you know
Skill.
you're from Sydney instantly. 4 minutes
Get out of the pool. You got to go to school. The Eels are on TV.
It's a real Sydney thing, isn't it?
You might think having thousands of pals is excessive, but that's not what the team at Parafield Airport Liquor Store think, because that's how many they have. Sure, they might be made up of over 100 gins, over 200 whiskies, over 300 craft beers, and over 2,000 boutique wines. But they're some of the best pals you could have, and they're always looking for more, even if they are tricky to track down. Parafield Airport Liquor Store. Pals, next to Roulette's Tavern, Kings Road, Parafield.
RB Day & Sons Supercraft Bedding says thank you for shopping locally. We shop locally too, and because we've been trading Adelaide-made mattresses for nearly 140 years, we know where to buy the best to build the best. Our fabric, foam, fibre and pocket springs are all Australian-made. It's not just mattresses either. It's pillows, bed heads, bases and electrically adjustable beds. Check us out on social media or visit supercraft.com.au. RB Day & Sons Supercraft Bedding. Building better beds.
Not all superheroes wear capes. In fact, you can save the world with a single phone call and a commitment to stop buying plastic bottles.
That's right. Join Puritap's War on Waste by reducing single-use plastics. Fill up your bottles and tanks with great-tasting Puritap.
That's pure sustainability, and when you think of the money you'll save, it's pure value too.
That's right. It certainly is. It's very affordable. How good is this? A Puritap from only $49 up front. I got a phone call from them yesterday. They're coming around to fix up the filter. They replace it every year. They have it down in the diary. It's a Very smooth operation they run.
Saving the planet there, David
I
Penberthy.
damn, that's what I do, Will.
Exactly
that's what
right.
I do.
You are a planeteer.
Exactly. I'm a rebel, like those Extinction Rebellion people. $49 up front from PureTap. That is pure value.
There's a designer tap installation and filters for 2 years on a great payment plan called PureTap on 133502 or go to puretap.com.au. Some T's and C's apply.
The new Nissan Navara has landed. Get a new Nissan Navara SL 4x2 single cab manual from only $32,990 drive away for ABN buyers. Head to your Nissan dealer for a test drive. T's and C's apply.
At Bob Jane T-Marts, there's deals for safer holiday driving. Visit bobjane.com.au. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
Minute to 9, getting a few texts on the Telstra Mount Barker text line from people claiming to have eaten frog cakes in their time. I think we've got about 4, and I think that's everyone who's ever eaten one.
Helen in Ottawa, and also one here from someone who says their 38-year-old son lives in Perth, and over Easter he asked to have some brought over. What about that?
Because he probably teases his Western Australian mates with them.
Well, I think what happened was Mark McGowan closed the borders to frog cakes to keep the people of Western Australia safe.
Hey, the meat trays, thanks to Dennis and the team at Broadway Meats. They do a wonderful job, and they're a big contributor to Meat Tray Friday as well. See them at 41A, the Broadway, Glenelg South. Who wins the tray?
Well, I'll tell you just personally, if the Don Giovanni's people can sort out the problem of the shop not existing anymore, that would be terrific. But really with so many great calls, we love them all. Let's give it to Graham, though, for his evocative description of the Amscol shop and those wonderful ice creams, the dandy and all that. Great call. So big thanks to Dennis and the team at Broadway Meats for their sensational meat tray. Graham, you are the lucky winner, mate.
Have a wonderful weekend. Leon Biner's coming up. Good luck to the Crows women tomorrow. You can listen to it on 5AA, and later in the evening tomorrow night you can listen to the Prince Philip's funeral from 10:30 live on 5AA as well. We'll catch you Monday from 6.